Ta-da! Still have a lot of things to like fix and stuff. But general stuff is already there. General stuff. Yep, there's still quite a lot of things I need to restart and remake and do quite a lot. Haven't really like finished yet. And since I just started, I made some tea. Tea with like a full-on like plastic straw in here. So, and it's also fucking hot. So most likely I'm drinking poison. I'm gonna get cancer one day. Yeah. This thing plus a fucking handful of heat is making it even worse. It's like piping hot tea I just like sipping up. Holy moly, my mouth is burning. And Hideki King! Still got stuff to work with. Work. I'm a struggle artist in a struggling world and struggling and do some drawing. And I go out the stream and work on the stream doing animation. And I work, and I work, never stop working because I need to eat. Whatever time is it, I can do lots of things. I don't need this thing anymore. Really freaking close to me. I do not need my voice above the gosh dang yellow line. Have my sound very bloated. Whew. Well, this is like already good enough. All I need to do is just a little bit more, like, you know, louder. But I have to pitch my voice a little bit louder though. Which, like I told you guys, if I actually use this voice, I can just don't have this mic visible at all. Like literally, you guys can hear me quite well. I use my normal voice, it's really loud. Because I am compressing my voice a lot, so like my voice just naturally becomes much more lower because I compress the voice and make it slightly high pitch. As like I say again, it is the complete opposite of how normal people do, especially for dudes. They always like try to use the voice much more deeper just to make them sound a little bit much more sexy. For me, it is a little bit on the opposite side. I kind of like, I didn't even intend to sound young. It's more like to match this guy's face a little bit more. I pitch it up a little bit. So yeah. Generally, most of the things is fine. I hope. I wish. And that just... Oh, by the way, like, because I watch a lot of Atozy again, it's like I just recently like just only see the opening part on like the something has been like happening to Cake. But yeah, again, like they already are shady place, so yeah. And like YouTube is shady, Twitch is shadies, everywhere is shadies. Now it's just like they got exposed to being shadies, and now I'll be like, you know what? You know what? I'm a fickle person. I'm a very fickle person. Let's jump ship! Technically, I'm not even in that platform. Technically, my main platform is on YouTube, so I don't really need to take care about those places at all. I never really bothered that much, and I didn't even ban anyone that do promotions there. I'm just restricted its ability to appear in the chat because I have like this like combined chat thingy going on there, so it's just that particular software won't show that person's, but anyone who come into my stream in Cake, the first thing they see is just like a shit tons of like those kind of bot ads in there. Yeah, personally, I don't really care, so like it's fine. You guys can't see it, but people in Kick will see their own shit. Ah! It's like a punishment for them. I always do this kind of a low-key punishment thing. It's like anything appear in my screen is my like responsibilities, okay? If I fucked up, it's me. But anything that appear in my chat that is bot, it's not my fucking fault. I will not give a shit about a bot. I will just not make them appear on the stream, but I will keep them in my chat individually. Every single bot have like individual, like keep themselves like individually isolated in their own platform. Do you know why? It's not my fucking job to ban those bots. It's their fucking platform job. It's the platform itself, their fucking job to make it not happen in the first place. Why do I need to like ban fucking words, ban fucking links, ban this, ban that, like just restricted the people ability to chat with me overall just to, you know, just to prevent those bots appearing in the chat, or like just keep banning those bots. They are bot anyway, so every single time I ban them, like more will fucking show up with like just like a number variant. It's like Casey123, and then like would be Casey1234, Casey12345, Casey12346. It's just going to be infinite. I can't ban every fuckers. So it's not my job to ban them. It's Kick jobs to ban them. It's Twitch job to ban them. It's YouTube job to ban them. YouTube try their best, but they keep banning the wrong ass people. Sadly, they try to do their job, but they do it very fucking poorly. Why is like in slow motion? Okay, back to normal. Not sure I'm showing you guys the volume and all. It's not there. Let me...
Casino empires in the world is now starting to show some cracks in the foundation, with 3 lawsuits already filed, an investigation over alleged fraud in its own games, and also one of its newest faces is under scrutiny in Belgium. And this is all while its biggest creators are now quietly jumping ship. But I mean, it's safe to say, when you trace the story back to its roots, you kind of end up somewhere a little bit unexpected: RuneScape. Because before Stake was a multi-billion-dollar operation, it was just an idea cooked up between
Charlie? Who is Charlie? Oh, you mean Sherry. Nah, I don't know. It's most likely case she just want to be really, like, I won't even say obsessive, like she really want that notice me senpai thing happens, but just keep DMing me her entire life. And also, you know, when she's in the stream, usually she kind of like chat so much in there. Technically, I do that too, so I don't mind. It's just that I think it's because my very coldness to it. Because, like I say again, I have like a very iron grit boundaries. So, yeah, then she might think like she got like I got annoyed or something, and then like she just stopped doing it anymore. Like, if you keep trying to talk to that one person and then you just share your entire fucking life to that person, and then that person would be like, dot, dot, dot. Yeah. You either think you fucking overshare, which you did, or, you know, that person doesn't like you. For me, it's not like I don't like a person. It's really hard for me to unlike a person. Like, it's fair to say I have no enemy. I have people I may dislike of their actions, but I will let them know about it. If they keep doing it, then yeah, I'm just banning them. I didn't even ban Sherry, to be honest. So if she's not here, I'm not really sure what happened to her. Can be a little bit concerning, but still, it's people life. People come and go. I have a lot of people who come and go. Like, you can see Hilly. She's not here. Hilly not here. Mute is like haven't been here for quite a while. Sometimes it's dropping in here and there. And then I still got a few people that I met back in the days, you did see, that come here often. And then now they're not here anymore. Like, you consider are the only one that consistently keep appearing, to be honest. And the rest of the people just appeared and then disappeared. Appeared and then disappeared. For a long period amount of times. That is normally how my stream goes. People tend to have the ability to forget about me unless I keep shouting on the fucking top of the mountains. You know, like, it's like those kind of like night market stuff, or like, you know, like the wet market. You go into that, and then there's like a bunch of people say, "Hey, my temalikane! We got fresh veggie, fresh fish, fresh pork, fresh meat. Come on, chip, chip, chip." If you don't do that shit, nobody fucking notices you in the gosh dang internet. I can keep playing this while like stuff is like working on. And if you don't really like watch a lot of my stuff or like being paying attention to my stream, like that's not a lot of people know that why I don't like react to people overshare to me that much. Like, if I'm the one who's streaming, if I overshare, it's my thing, and I sharing to a bunch of people. But when you decided to just like privately like message me, and then like you put like a lot of like write a lot of personal story to share to one person, that is a much more different both way is like going on in there, you know? In a way, like, establish this kind of relationship is going to be very messy. So I never going to do anything like that. I'm not like an OF person in the first place. It's like I do things more of like in a we way, you know? Everyone is like in this together way. I won't like give like special one person's particular more like attention than anything. I'll try to give everyone have a turn and something like that. But you do able to see like blatant favoritism sometimes, but generally I only entertain people most that is, you know, they are polite or they are just flat out not rude. or just have the ability to communicate with me without any issues. Then I just like chat with them more. And also, like, everything have turns, you know? I see what question first, I'll answer that question. And most people will already know that how yappy I am. It will be long. So, while I'm doing A, you ask B, I'm still doing A, and then you demand me to do B. I will say fuck you. How, like, be fucking patient. Like, I'm cooking someone else's food here. You can't demand me something to cook your food. Nobody can be more important than me in my stream, okay? Hold on, turn on lighting. Yeah, this is why Maya doesn't really get it. Sometimes, like, I get really pissy about, like, the things that Maya either asks or, like, trying to force an answer from me. The way she phrases it, I'm not it's a dude or girls, but still, I can see the word Maya. I think it's a girl. Either way, it's really like immediate demand most of the time. Instead of question, it's more like a demand. You know, like those kind of like when you play a games, and then your friend is sitting right behind you. Instead of say, "Hey," it basically is like a really bad backseat player. It's like there's like good kind of backseat player, and then there's like bad kind of backseat player. Like Maya is the bad kind of backseat player. And worse is, like, if you don't follow her backseat instructions, she will immediately start urging you to keep doing that backseat instructions. Why do I understand that? Because I am also a very bad backseat player. Due to that, I personally am very conscious of that, and I try not to backseat any people that I play games with. There are times that I can't help it, but this is why I understand it's not exactly a choice that she want to be like that. It's a habit. And if that is your habit, you just have to understand you getting scolded by people comes into the territory. You can't be like, oh, I understand the way that I am an asshole, and I cannot, like, you have to, once you understand you have sometimes the way you do stuff is like an asshole, and then you have to expect you are going to come into a territory that you are going to be scolded by people. You can't just expect that you be an asshole, people won't like scold you for being an asshole. Something like that. I'm not saying Maya is asshole, I mean like that's like an analogy for that is like you have to be expect to people fight back if you keep constantly challenging fucking people everywhere. It's like that you poke people and then either someone decided to poke you back or they push you or like physically touch you only, and then you be like, how dare you. That'd be fucking hilarious. Hey, hi there, Maya. Mary. Keep talking about Maya, I kind of forgot. My tongue got like locked. Obviously, I have more rendering. I just haven't started yet, to be honest. And also, like, you can see, like, it's very jagged, the line, is because I'm using like a certain type of rendering. It's like it's not fully accurate, to be honest. The timing is not going to be like this timing. Like you can definitely see this is either a little bit like because I'm moving around, it's a little bit laggier. But you can see like now it's like slightly faster, but it's still not, if you time it correctly, it's not actually 5 seconds. It's faster than 5 seconds. It's like 4.5 seconds or something like that. It's because like I'm using a certain like rendering method. It's like you can actually like go to like if you use Clip Studio, okay? If you use Clip Studio, you can do a few settings when it comes to like animations, okay? On the show animation scale or something, I forgot like how I did it. It's basically you can change a certain setting when you kind of like play the track live, okay? I think it's like edit track and stuff. Not this one. Yeah, playback setting. So you can select a certain type of playback setting. You can select prefer qualities or prefer speed. If you prefer the qualities, it will fully render each image, and then they will play the next image. If you prefer speed, it will have a much more like lower down qualities, and then they keep the timing as much as possible. This is, and then this one is like play in real time, and then this one play all frame. So the combination of prefer speed and then play all frame has created this thing. It's like it zoom as fast as possible and also play all frame as fast as possible. So if I don't have too much things going on and they also lower the qualities, they are going to play significantly way faster than it's supposed to be. If I select this in real time and I prefer speed, it does do a better job if I do that. Then what you are looking at right now is the actual speed. But you can significantly see like that there's a lot more, the curve line just becomes super jagged. But the moment I paused it, become a normal line again. And I currently are still doing a lot of rendering stuff. I haven't really finished yet, obviously. I'm saying finalizing things, doesn't mean I'm finalizing everything. I can actually animate things first and then color them later, obviously. It have layers. This is the fun part about like using Clip Studio Paint. I'm not really sure other can do it or not, but I'm definitely 100% sure, because I'm doing it right now, you can do like further advanced rendering in later stage. Without any issues. So right now I'm just like set up most of the flat coloring and then see what I need to add, what I need to do this, do that later on. I'm literally just creating a certain stuff before I start doing everything. It's a very messy process, and if anyone who used to be like doing a lot more professional setting plays, like they will just look at this like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm not even kidding. Like any professional look at me, they will literally pull their hair apart. Like, the fuck are you doing? But I am literally doing the stuff that only I can do it. It's a process that uniquely to me only. When I work with people, there will be definitely a different set of process to do it. But again, it's gonna scare the crap out of lots of people when I do this kind of thing, though. Hold on a little bit. Because I just shut off the powers, it have like a different method to like deal with shit. Alright, 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 alright. Work area. Oh, it only see that one monitors. Yeah, now they see the other monitors. Good. And to be honest, I see a lot of people have like a very like defined curve to do a lot of stuff. Like especially like they have like curve like this one. I'm not sure I should do this though, because I kind of like already got used to the curve that I normally use. This one like super thick. This one is good for doing like line art and stuff. I should take advantage of this thing more, to be honest. Like if I'm doing animations, okay, if I'm doing a line art for animations, you need a very consistent thickness. Having this does help a lot. Like even your lightest line is still your thickest line. Like even you need some variations, I guess like this one is nice. You at least you need like a consistent thickness, even though you can just do like really light stroke. You still end up like just doing this one. Then this one you have this one like thin line always have a much more like pencil and pen feeling. I do love this when I do sketching. But when I do line, I feel like this one is actually pretty fine too. And I did turn off the tilt because not a lot of people know that XP pen, this one is actually a relatively cheap one. The 15-inch Pro, they do still have tilting function. One of the reason I get XP pen is because they have a tilting functions. But I'm not really adept with the tilting thingy going on there, so like I end up didn't use it that well, so I just turned it off. You know what? I'm like right now I kind of like just turn it back on because I want to try it out. Since I'm doing animations, I should take in my line this way. Okay. I still have quite a few things I do have to like fix it up, so hold on. Ooh, yeah, I haven't turned off the Curse Forge. You can't do it fast, you have to like do it slow and precise. Slow and precise. slow and precise. I can just turn off the whole body. I still haven't finished the background thing yet. I did my background in the most arbitrary way though. Because I want to take advantage on the digital side of things that I can literally do whatever I want. Without too much of like like when you kind of like you got used to like traditional drawing, you have a certain kind of like setting in your brain that you always like have to do like certain step first, else you're going to just fuck over the drawing like so much that would be literally like unrecognizable. The process is there for reasons, definitely, but I'm trying to like mix in into the capability of the digital side of the thing here. Yeah, when it comes to traditional media, or I would say like drawing on fucking papers, you literally are drawing on fucking papers. Like, how much you use a fucking pen to draw a line, you can just erase the fucking line. No, you can't do that. So you do have to train yourself to a point that you don't do mistake, or instead of saying you don't do mistake, you try your best not to create mistake. So you can't just do stuff haphazardly. But digital side of the things, you have a different story. You can just, hey, I draw a wrong line, erase. Hey, I think the rendering is not that good. Press delete. Like it's very easy to do a lot of digital stuff. You might say like, oh, it's going to be a very bad habit for you in the futures. But I'm not going to draw on. I'm not going back to like draw on papers. Like if I'm doing business digitally, means I can actually just do a lot of stuff globally. Okay, most of my client is outside my country, because any client inside my country, they can't afford the art or like any animations aside from just having like local business thing going on there. When I say local business thing, is basically we have like super heavy local discount. Like imagine like I sell people one art for $60. I will sell them in here one art for 60 ringgit. It's a complete different way of like doing calculations, okay? One, I can eat 10 fucking burgers. Oh no, like 60 fucking burgers I still can eat. Another one, I only can afford 2 fucking burgers. It's really different. But it's not like I don't want to do local business too. The weirdest thing is I'm super unknown in a very weird way, okay? As you guys kind of already know, that the way I kind of do a lot of content and stuff, the way I kind of like put my effort into the productions and try to do a lot of shout out as possible, doing like fun collab and shit, and doing like lots of different variation things, like post my art, this and that other stuff, somehow I'm very, in many cases, invisible to people's eyes, especially in my own country. Because my own country have this one weird quirk, okay? They consume anything outside of their own country more than consume the stuff they have in their own country. So it's like the outsider consumer they are. It's like every one of my friends and everyone I know, when they have the free time, they aren't going to watch other Malaysian VTubers. If they want to watch VTubers, they would watch Hololive. They would watch like Niji Sanji, weirdly. And they would watch like every couple VTubers that is, or like any VTuber that is literally outside of Malaysia. It's not like it doesn't exist. It does exist. Rare. Because if they have, like, a lot of people do watch them, it's not going to be watched in my particular certain kind of times. I can even start streaming at night. I will still not get any Malaysian viewer most of the times. I will get people from Philippines. I will get people from Indonesia. I will get people from like Thailand. I would get people from Vietnam, but I won't get any people from Malaysia. Maybe sometimes there will be 1 or 2 stragglers that happens to be in, because the fact just I'm a Malaysian, as the fact they would just come to support for a bit, but they won't really stay here and watch and consume. If they really want to become a viewer as a consumers of contents, of like hearing me chatting bullshit, they won't be staying here. Like, the funny ass shit is, like, Malaysian won't support another Malaysians unless you are, like, being successful on the Western side. Like, literally, I'm not even kidding. It's like, people will gradually, if you want your own, like, I'm a Malaysian, if you want a fellow Malaysians to consume your, like, content or the stuff that you do, you actually have to have a name on other country. So they will come here to your stream, they will just yell Malaysia boleh, and then they will just go. Because Malaysia have this like weird ass thing, it's like we did it syndrome. So it's like it's like we did it syndrome. It's like long as you manage to did some accomplishment outside country, to bought fame of Malaysians into to bought like some fame like as a Malaysians, then you did something for the country, and then they would just come here just to like support you that way. But if you didn't do any jack shit, you try to open your local business, you try to do this, you try to do that, you will not get a single, nobody will get a single fuck about you. Like, the only time that I will actually get, like, a lot of Malaysians to watch me is, like, somehow Iron fucking Mouse decided to be like, hey, I want to interview you. I just, like, just a random, like, just sit there and chat for no reasons. Like, just the moment me being in Iron Mouse, like, you know, like, her talk like, podcast talk show stuff, one time, it would have like, she is the one who mentioned that, oh, you're Malaysians, and then the next day I would have a lot of Malaysian watch me. I'm not even kidding. long as you have an achievement outside of the realm of Malaysia, you will get instantly recognized because they will be like, yes, we did it. But the main issue is, you did anything. Did you do anything? They will be like, no, we didn't do anything, but you're Malaysians, so we did it. You can ask any Malaysian about this thing. It's a specifically Malaysian quirk, okay? Singaporean will pretend Malaysia doesn't exist, and then Thailand would be very meh about like Malaysians is like getting like famous or anything. They're kind of like contained within their own circle. Thailand have like their own Thailand like VTuber circle, so they don't really need to like go out. They kind of self-sustain itself already. Like most of the VTubing circle in Malaysia is not self-sustained at all. Like everything like outside like any other country, like Singapore have like the Western audience to be like contend with, and then like I say again, Thailand have their own circle, Philippines have their own circle, even Vietnam have their own circle, and then basically a very self-sustaining circle. Like even Indonesia's is so fucking big, like Hololive literally have a separate branch just for Indonesia's. So it's again a very self-sustaining like circle. Malaysia is the only country in Southeast Asia that doesn't really have a self-sustaining circle for anyone to work as a VTubers or streamers. Because we end up in the situations no matter how much content we make, we won't specifically target Malaysians. We will target on the Western side of the audience. If we achieve anything outside of Malaysia's, then basically it's like we target anything outside of Malaysia influence. We are essentially targeting Malaysians. Because once you achieve anything and then you mention yourself as Malaysians, then there will be a lot of people coming into my stream. That is the funniest like quirk that Malaysian have. We can make merch, but Malaysians will never buy merch. Okay? We do not have fucking excess money to buy merch. But if we have the chance to buy like those kind of like Temu version of the merch, we will buy the heck out of it. And then be like, yeah, I got this like just randomly Hololive Fubuki like doll. But actually it's just like some random like China made doll. It's not even coming from like the official Hololive like things. It's like it's an unofficial doll, and then we'll be like, "Yay, I'm a fan." So like I'm just making an example of it. Like again, like Malaysians will buy anything outside; they won't buy anything local. Like so, like they will not buy like they will rather like buy some knockoff version of it rather than just buy the actual version of it if it's like in Malaysia's. So if any VTubers like created any merch, like go to a convention, they start selling it, the chance of it getting sold is so fucking low. If you make a fan art of someone outside of Malaysia, it immediately got sold. But if you make a fan art in somewhere like VTubers in like Malaysia, it's going to get like really rarely going to get any like merch sell at all. It's some very weird fucking phenomena. And I'm sure that anyone is a Malaysian hearing me saying this, they would be like, yes, this is the most truest fact of all. Like the classic like Asian parent stuff. I can is like something like that. It's like you need to achieve some things in order to get the parents like attentions. And to be honest, I can just zoom in and do this. I don't know why I'm doing that. That god awful method to draw a gosh dang fucking line. Ugh. Oh, where was I again? I just
Two
watched this
online
thing.
gamers who met through an MMORPG, betting in-game gold coins. The whole story starts when Ed Craven and Bijan Tirani crossed paths in the late 2000s through RuneScape, specifically through a part of the game where players would bet. One of the biggest online casino empires in the world is now starting to show some cracks in the foundation, with 3 lawsuits already filed, an investigation over alleged fraud in its own games, and also one of its newest faces is under scrutiny in Belgium. And this is all while its biggest creators are now quietly jumping ship. But I mean, it's safe to say, when you trace the story back to its roots, you kind of end up somewhere a little bit unexpected: RuneScape. Because before Stake was a multi-billion-dollar operation, it was just an idea cooked up between 2 online gamers who met through an MMORPG, betting in-game gold coins. The whole story starts when Ed Craven and Bijan Tirani crossed paths in the late 2000s through RuneScape, specifically through a part of the game where players would bet virtual gold against each other in duels. That mechanic is called staking, which is definitely not a subtle foreshadowing at all. But the two started collaborating in ways to turn virtual gambling or wagering into money, because RuneScape coins could be converted to cash on third-party sites, which technically violated the game's terms of service, but it worked. And from there, they moved into Bitcoin dice games when in 2013, they launched a platform called Prime Dice that essentially let users play using cryptocurrency. And at that time, they had no license, no real regulatory framework, just a website and a lot of demand that started pulling in users almost instantly. Then, a few years later, with Prime Dice as their foundation, they built out something far more ambitious: Stake.com. This was launched in 2017 as a full-service crypto casino/platform, and it was licensed through Curacao, one of those tax havens in the Caribbean. But this platform was headquartered in Australia and was growing surprisingly fast from the start. And just to give it some sense of scale, by 2024, the platform was generating roughly $4.7 billion in gross gaming revenue, meaning this is after paying out player winnings. So definitely not bad for a couple of guys who started just by staking in an online game. Now, Stake's growth definitely didn't happen out of nowhere. The company made a very deliberate bet early on that the fastest way to grow a casino platform on the internet wasn't with traditional ads or SEO. It was actually getting the most watched people on the internet to gamble or stream on their website. And they were willing to pay massive amounts of money to make that happen. Trainwrecks TV, who became one of the platform's first major partners, once told his viewers that he'd taken around $360 million from Stake over roughly 16 months, which is just stupid money.
I'll release what I got paid since the beginning of my contract. I've been paid $360 million for 16 months of gambling.
And XQC later went live on stream and also mentioned that his arrangement with Stake pays him a flat $200,000 per gambling session, regardless of how long the stream runs or how much he actually wagers.
It could be for 10 minutes, could be 5 hours. I get 200K flat.
And Aiden Ross had Ethereum worth an estimated $78 million flow through accounts linked to him from Stake between late 2021 and early 2025. And then, of course, there's Drake. The rapper signed on as a Stake ambassador in a deal reportedly worth over $100 million a year at the time. And his role was essentially to gamble or play publicly and make it look interesting. So Drake himself would host multi-hour long live streams and post about his wins and losses on Instagram to his followers, which made it feel way more real than traditional advertising ever could. And I guess this was pretty much the Drake effect, now helping boost Stake. And they leaned into it so hard, even running promotions where users could enter to win big alongside of Drake. But for a while, a lot of this original gambling streaming was ran through Twitch, which at the time was the undisputed home of live streaming. However, in September of 2022, Twitch introduced a policy change that banned streams of slots, roulette, and dice games from platforms not licensed in the US and or in other markets with proper consumer protection standards. Stake, whose main website still operates under a...
Now, here's the thing. Twitch kicked them out and say, long as you are not operating in US, you can't have it. So, a lot of people keep having this misinformations about Twitch do not allow gambling website being shown in Twitch. No. It's there. It's just only US licensed gambling website. So I don't know why they keep trying to say like Twitch is the better place because it's a morally good place that they kick the gambling stake thing out. And then I'd be like, they still have gambling shit though. They literally do not aware that fact. Or I don't know why they don't want to believe that fact. Somehow it's almost like a thing that they just completely do not see it existing at all. Which is like super odd. It's like super odd. It's like, if this thing is such an important matter, talking point every single time you have to talk about like Kick and like Twitch, why have no one like mentioned this? It's like, if you hate gambling so much, Twitch should still have those things. It's weird. Either you're all in, like on no gambling, and talk about it. Like you really advocated those things. Like a lot of people shit on Twitch. The main thing is like the gambling thing. It's weird. While Twitch always have that. Even they kick out like the half of like the gambling stuff out, they still have that. It's not like it's not there. But everyone that keep like, you know, like virtual signaling about like the gambling things, they seems to be completely blindsided by that part. It's still puzzling me. Even nowadays, it's still fucking puzzling me.
Curacao license and is effectively blocked from the American market was a direct casualty under that rule. So Craven and Tarani did what anyone with a few $1 billion and a reason to build a streaming platform would do. They built their own streaming platform. And that's why today we have Kick, which was launched in December of 2022, positioning itself as kind of like this like anti-Twitch, a creator-first platform with a 95% revenue split for the streamers, which is, I mean, that is massive. For context, I'm pretty sure the base contract on Twitch is a 50-50 split. But obviously, this new platform had completely different policies and allowed all of these gambling streams to happen. And within about a year, they actually pulled over so many of the big names that they already had deals with on stake, including XQC, Aiden Ross, and so many others. And because of that, a whole bunch of other streamers followed. So the official line from both companies is that Stake and Kick are separate businesses, just both housed under the same EasyGo parent company. And Craven has said in its interviews that the two operate independently with clear ownership lines. But what's also true is they share the same building in Melbourne, they share executives, and that Kick's content ecosystem seems to essentially function as a marketing arm for the casino. And a lot of the streamers play on Stake while broadcasting on Kick. So the clips then get packaged and posted across social media, which then loops the traffic right back to Stake. So it's safe to say that this definitely worked. And by the third quarter of 2025, Kick had climbed to about 4th place among the most watched live streaming platforms in the world. But here's where the legal trouble starts, because when the main site was banned in the US, and I guess a big chunk of their audience being in the States, the company decided to roll out a separate American version called stake.us and labeled it as a social casino. So the framing is that it's just entertainment. Nobody's actually gambling or spending real money, as players could use, I guess, like virtual currency called gold coins for gameplay, which are explicitly described as having no cash value. But apparently, bundled with every gold coin purchase is a secondary currency called Stake Cash, which can be wagered on all the same casino games and then cashed out to a flat 1-to-1 rate against the US dollar. So attorneys in several states looked at that structure and arrived at essentially the same conclusion, that the gold coin framing is a wrapper to make real money gambling look acceptable. So the first major lawsuit against Stake landed in Missouri in October of 2025. A man by the name of Justin Killam filed a class action against Stake, Drake, and Aiden Ross, arguing that Stake.us was functionally the same as the main website. Same games, same layout, same experience, and that the dual currency model was a deliberate legal workaround rather than, you know, a genuinely distinct product. And the suit also alleged that Drake and Aiden Ross had been presenting their wagering as personal gambling, when the money that they were betting was actually being supplied by the platform, meaning the losses they occasionally showed audiences were just, hey, this is a marketing strategy rather than real financial consequences. And again, this is currently being alleged. We don't have proof of this right now, because Stake denied everything, and they said they'd contest the claims. And Aiden Ross on live stream described the lawsuit just like this.
Guys, there's nothing to talk about regarding the title, regarding what's going on with Mess. You guys can look into it. I will tell you guys this. It's bull. To me, it seems like somebody, if you guys can see what Asmongold said, because someone sent that to me, it's literally true. Like, just watch the Asmongold thing. It's bull.
But then a second lawsuit followed a few days later in New Mexico, making nearly identical arguments. And then, on the last day of 2025, a third complaint was filed in Virginia. And this one went somewhere completely new, because the Virginia filing named 4 defendants: Stake, Drake, Aiden Ross, and an Australian guy by the name of George Nguyen. And I had no idea who this George guy was, but apparently he's an Instagram guy with over 500,000 followers. So the complaint alleged that Drake and Aiden Ross had been routing money through Stake's internal tipping system to George, who would then go use those funds to pay bot services to artificially inflate streaming numbers for both of them across platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. So that is a crazy allegation. But we did kind of just cover that Kick staff was admitting that they were aware of bots on the platform. So I can't really say that's related, but bots are around, that's for sure. But according to the suit, the goal was to prop up the appearance of popularity, pushing Drake higher in the recommendation algorithms, which then obviously suppresses competing artists in the process, and then of course generating royalty income from streams, which isn't real. Now obviously these are some serious allegations, and the complaint described it as racketeering activity that had been running continuously since 2022, and the two plaintiffs were seeking at least $5 million in damages. So Stake's response was brief. They called the whole thing nonsense and specifically denied that Stake US even has a tipping mechanism. And they said they weren't worried about the case. And Drake, Aiden, and George, on the other hand, they didn't comment publicly. And as of right now, all these cases are still working their way through the courts. And all of that could have easily been a video on its own. But then came February 2026, when a Bloomberg Businessweek investigation dropped and quickly took over the entire conversation. So now you have Cecilia D'Anastasio, Olivia Salon, and Lian Yen writing an article reportedly based on the data analysis of nearly 500 hours of slot footage from 25 streamers on Kick. 5 of them were among Stake's highest paid profiles: Drake, Aiden Ross, XQC, Trainwrecks TV.
All these people are their own star witnesses. This is why I say, if you want to do something illegal, do not fucking stream it. Technically, I did something like that too, but I would never really like tell people it is. Oh, don't worry, it's not like super fucking illegal and like immoral, to be honest. It's more like, yo ho, pirate lights for me. It's just that. That is the only thing I do.
And Rosh Time, with the remaining being about regular or smaller streamers with not too many known financial ties on the platform. And the reporters apparently used an AI model to process a screenshot from every 4 seconds of footage, pulling out balance amounts, bet sizes, and which game was being played, then manually verifying the data.
I never know
at a baseline
why.
level, they found
I
that across
personally
all
also
25 players,
puzzling.
a big win, which apparently is a 1000x return on a single bet, happened roughly once every 10,000 spins on average. And apparently that 1000x.
There are so many people on TikTok does that. So many, in fact, that I really do not know what's the incentive of doing it. You know? They literally have like those kind of like, you know, like back in days, there's like planking, ice bucket challenge, like all those kind of things like exist, right? But nowadays, you look at most of the challenge in TikTok, it's just fucking doing crime. I'm not even kidding. It's straight up just, hey, smash someone door challenge. Hey, jump in front of the car challenge. Hey, jump off the fucking building challenge. I'm not even kidding. Or throw a brick down to down from like a 5-story building challenge. Like, those are not fucking challenge. Those are fucking crime. And like that one also famous one, I love that one. How to scam fucking bank like hack. Like literally teach people how to do crime.
Is the threshold the community typically considers as a big win. However, Drake's rate on EasyGo owned games was a little bit different. So they were apparently 4 times higher than that, or once at about every 2,500 spins. Aiden also posted similar numbers in one EasyGo session. And the part that Bloomberg leaned the hardest on was when both of them were playing third-party slots, games made by outside developers available across multiple casinos, and their win rates were completely normal. And then you have 4 other streamers who played a comparable volume of rounds. They never recorded a single big win. Now, obviously, that's a lot of information, but in other words, the conclusion they reached was that big wins are extremely rare. However, when it came to Drake and Aiden playing slots owned by Stake's parent company, those wins were happening way more often than they should. while their results on regular third-party games look completely normal. So if this is all true, that's a problem. And the investigation also documented a specific session from August 2025 where Drake had been playing for over an hour and losing steadily, until Ed Craven, Kick or Steak's co-founder, joined the stream and suggested that he switched to a specific easy-go game. And then Drake won big multiple times within the following hour.
What are we doing? Look, can we make shake, brother? Seriously.
I've been watching the whole stream. I don't know. I honestly feel like you've been getting some bad advice from everyone in the call here. You know, these picks have been terrible.
Okay, so give us one. Can we get one?
Yeah, you know what? No,
Well,
Eddie, you're right.
Eddie's
The Steak
pick,
Originals are a
Eddie's pick.
terrible pick, huh?
Again, I can't show gameplay of him winning. We can only zoom into his camera and see the reaction. So they noted that a majority of these massive wins across their dataset occurred in sessions when Ed had either appeared on stream or dropped game recommendations into the live chat, which is definitely interesting. But after that article was released, Stake told Bloomberg that the findings were categorically incorrect. They argued that calling something a big win is a very loose definition and doesn't really account for how different these games are, especially in terms of volatility and payouts. So comparing win rates across different games can end up being very misleading. Then, XQC got onto Twitter and said this is the worst journalism he'd ever seen. He argued the sample size was just way too small and the language was slanted, and the research was surface level at best. And the other Kick co-founder, Bijan Tarani, also posted that the mythology was flawed, pointing out that the small footage windows Bloomberg had both for Drake 1.3 hours and Aiden only 0.1 hours or 6 minutes was just way too small. But Bloomberg had already addressed this in its published mythology, noting that 1.3 hours of
Which is, here's the thing, like, like when I say it like this, it sounds super fucking bad, but games that have gambling mechanic is way more fairer than the gambling exists in the fucking world. Okay? Do not, if you want to play something like that, go play like Balatro, go play something like the Clover Pit, go play something else, literally something else. Do not actually go to the gambling side, this and that stuff. Because in the internet, nothing can be trusted. Nothing. Okay? Not a single one of them can be trusted. Because they... even claw machine cannot be trusted, okay? Claw machine only fucking works when you inject a certain amount of like money into it, okay? The claw thingy, it doesn't have any strength. It have like, okay, you pay like $50. Like you play $50 worth of like games, like if like 50 tries, like each try you pay $1, and then you play like 50 times, so they'll be like accumulated like 50 times already. The claw starting to fucking works, okay? Of course, if you manage to play some technique, like even when the claw doesn't fucking work, you can still somehow manage to get it working. But doesn't mean that the entire system is not rigged itself. Gambling is a probability thingy. It's not a, like... if it's physical, if you're good at math, if you're good at lots of things, if you're super fucking autistic, okay? You can actually win every single fucking time. That's the thing. So they don't want you to win every single fucking time. They actually rig the fucking game against those people. And if they rig the fucking thing against those like really autistic people, no fucking normal people can win. It's literally in the fucking mercy hand, okay? Clover Pit is at least like you can add some like buff, this and that, yada yada stuff to improve the odds of you getting some stuff that you want. So, game itself, even though they have gambling mechanic, you can like adjust and do a lot of shit that you can kind of like steer the probability, is like increase the percentage of your win rate that way. And you're not using actual real money. Okay? You play a lot of games that have like upgrade mechanic on those kind of things, or like you have to do a lot of things. This is why I say like Path of Exile is really nice, because you can actually like do a lot of things to lock up the probability a lot, or to increase the odds of you doing something. And a lot of game can do those kind of things too. Like, you can do a lot of things to increase and obscure the chance. In real life gambling, they don't have those kind of things exist in the real world. They don't do that, okay? Gambling itself, in reality of itself, is fucking unfair. If you want to think like you go and do some gambling, you can win some money. No, you're not. The only winner is the people who, like, go in there with $10 fucking and then they win $5 fucking, they leave. That's the only fucking winner that exists. It's not like you go in $100, go in there, you get $1,000, and then you keep playing and then you lose everything. When money's involved, cheats happens. It's either the house is cheating you. When I say the house means like the gambling den is the place that's cheating you. Or, literally, that the guy that is playing card for you is cheating. Or you are cheating. It's just when money is involved, a lot of cheating will happen. None of the thing that exists is going to be favorable in anything. Okay? Playing games is completely different fucking things. It's like, I can play a games that, oh, I don't have time to play that much games. Hey, I'm opening a cheat engine and then like just get infinite money in my games, in my Skyrim games. Okay? Crash your fucking economy. Just buy whatever the fuck I want. Just buy the most powerful thing in the game can offer, and then I will like play the games. It will be fucking boring. You can, definitely, but it would be fucking boring. You can make yourself like God mode, just one punch everything to death. It would be fucking boring. Like in real life, if you cheat in games, you essentially just cheat the fun out of yourself. But in gambling, real life gambling, when actual money is involved, like cheating is literally encouraged at that point. Because you are getting rewarded by actual money. Which is the most fucking worst thing in the world.
of gameplay equaled about 15,000 spins, which exceeded the 10,000 spin average their data showed. Hold up, you're betting 15,000 times in 1.3 hours? That's crazy. But I guess whether that's a big enough sample for probability analysis and slots is genuinely a statistical debate. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below, but that's roughly where things stand. And just to be clear, Bloomberg actually analyzed 4.6 hours of Drake's gameplay and 6.2 hours of Aiden Ross's total gameplay, but those 1.3 hours for Drake and 0.1 for Aiden come exclusively from EasyGo-owned games, the same ones where Drake's big win rate spikes massively. But also, around the same time the Bloomberg investigation was circulating, some notable movement was actually happening inside of Stake's own world. So Trainwrecks TV, one of the platform's largest running and most prominent partners, went onto a stream and suggested that he might walk away. His main point was that some creators contribute far more to Stake's traffic and cultural reach than their payment reflects, and that informal agreements built on personal trust rather than formal contracts leave streamers in a very bad situation. He also brought up the idea of organizing a mass exodus from the platform, though he stopped short of confirming anything definitive.
Yeah, bro, I'll tell you what, Eddie's a shark, I'll tell you that. He forgets how things went down, I'll tell you that. He made me realize that you can trust no friend without a contract, I'll tell you that. It's time for a revolution. It's time for us to do our own thing. No, seriously, it's time to show them that, listen, if you want to devalue us, if you're trying to play ball, all right, then let's see what we can take. Think out of everyone in the industry, I could organize the largest leaving of streamers from Stake. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, there's change coming, bro. Just know that. Not now, but soon.
But I guess Aiden Ross had already made his move. After being named in the California lawsuit, he signed a new gambling deal with another platform called RainBet, while maintaining that he'd still continue.
If those people want to treat gambling as a business, when it comes to business, it's a lost practice at this point. I see so many scummy business practice. It's the word honest is gone, okay? Or honor itself is gone. Because like no matter what, when it comes to like doing business and anything related to it, I would say like honor system is one of the most important things when it comes to doing business. Okay? If you are not in a certain way honor the things that you said, honor the things that you do, you are essentially cheating out everyone in the thing. Okay? You cannot be if you cannot be fucking trusted, you cannot do any fucking business. Yes, a quick lie, a quick cheat, you can get lots of money. But just one fucking time. If you decide to do the honorable choice, yes, you are going to lose some money. But you gain a loyal customers. And in many things that right now, the reason why this kind of like business practice is literally like fell off the fucking face of the earth. The main reason is everyone is fucking cheating. Everyone is fucking lying. Everyone is fucking getting ahead of you. So if you're losing money in the same time while everyone's fucking getting ahead of you, the fuck you can do is same as streaming. It's like everyone is botting that view. I'm not botting my view. I'm losing. I don't have anyone here. But those people who bought like at least like 50 people in their streams, and people see, oh, there's 50 people, he must at least do something right that have 50 people, and then people keep coming in, and then they starting to grow the channel that way. Ta-da! That's the harsh reality of things. Like lies and cheat have become so effective, everyone is doing it. The entire honor system is completely out of the window a long time ago. And if you don't do it, you are just fucking stupid. I never look at my things and say like I'm going to be the most successful streamer in the world. I never do that. I never say that. I just want to sit in here, have some time, chat about shit, having some best time hanging out with a lot of people. That's all. But if I really want to become a actual streamer, I'm doing the most stupidest thing in the world by not botting myself up. That's that. You either have to spend money to get bought, or spend money to get a bunch of like clips, video farming, this and that other stuff. I have to do a lots of things that like clown shit just to like be appeal to everyone. I have to always support the right things. Like anyone say LGBT good, I have to be LGBT good. And then anyone say like, oh, this is bad, and then I will be like, agreeing with them like this is bad just to get all the like brownie point for everyone. Like all those tactics have to be exist. But I want to be myself, okay? I do not want to lost in the sauce. I do not want to do this. I do not want to do that. I personally have some personal moral that I always want to do, but also because of that, one day I will actually not be myself, okay? Right now, I still can't earn enough money to be like this, but there will be a days that I actually need money so much to the point that I have to choose the path of scumminess. When everyone is cheating, that sadly you cannot. The honor system doesn't eat at that point. Like it does have their own thing. When everyone is doing it, the world just completely become hunky dory. Okay, but everyone is a lying fucking cheat. Then you're not playing in the equal level.
Streaming on Kick because of his friendship with Eddie.
This is the first question. A lot of you guys saying is
like just give the most like basic thing, okay? If you go and play Call of Duties, you enter like a room or CS:GO or something like that, any shooting game, okay? You go in there, everyone is fucking cheating. everyone is counter cheating everyone. You are the only one who has not, like, do not fucking hack, okay? So it turns into a problem that the moment you step out the fucking door, the safe zone, you fucking die immediately. And then all the hackers like flying around, dodging those like perfect headshot, and then they just blinking around, keep shooting shit out of everyone. And then they are like the highest on the leaderboard because they're fucking cheat. And then some people didn't hack, they use like fucking glitch into the fucking wall so they can't get shoot. And then they can shot back the fucking like wall hackers or something like that. And then like they somehow like have a hacker that can blink into a fucking wall and then like shoot the shit out of them. Like if you are in such a game, like if you don't turn on fucking cheat, you are just going to keep dying. Either you leave the fucking place or you fucking cheat together. So this is why I'm saying for lots of people who want to get into streamings, like they really want to have like streaming turning into their career or something. If you're not doing it for fun, just sit here and hang out, and you really want numbers, you really want to earn money in here, fucking leave. Because everyone in this scene, especially streaming, everyone is hacking, everyone is cheating, everyone is using their money to pile up things to make themselves a little bit well known. It's not worth it.
Brand risk still happening, yes. So now Rainbet will be taking over and they will be making sure that brand risk is good. The second thing is I'm on very good terms with Eddie. I'm still obviously on Kick. They're still gonna be paying for my clippers. They're still gonna be kind of just doing what I want to do, but I'm just going to tell you guys why I left, and I don't want anyone to think it's kind of just like a malicious thing.
And I guess just to paint how far Stake's sponsorship footprint actually stretches, this whole story picked up on a new thread just a few weeks ago when on March 11, 2026, the former Belgian soccer winger Eden Hazard announced he would be joining Stake as a global ambassador. So here he posted a promotional clip in Stake gear with a caption, "Ready for a new game," and released a statement about being excited to connect with fans in a new chapter after his playing career. But within 48 hours, the Belgian Gaming Commission had opened an investigation because Stake doesn't hold a license in Belgium, which means it's on the country's blacklist of illegal operators, and advertising for unlicensed gambling services to Belgian users is illegal. So now you have a commission spokesperson confirming that they were examining whether Hazard's content specifically targeted people in its home country, and noted that if the answer was yes, he would receive a formal notice to cut ties, with potential sanctions if he didn't comply. But by the time those reports were released, Hazard had already updated his Instagram bio to notify that Stake isn't available in Belgium or Spain. Now, whether that update is enough to satisfy the commission is something that apparently is still being worked out. Those lawsuits are still working through the courts, and the Belgian investigation into Hazard is ongoing. Then on top of this, you have a bunch of allegations where people are like, oh wait, is Stake, because of all these lawsuits, pivoting its business into Rainbet? Who knows? Because now rumors are floating around online that because of all these lawsuits, that Rainbet is an exit strategy for Stake. Could this be why so many of the Kick streamers are moving over to Rainbet slowly, but are still staying on Kick? Who knows? Regardless, the question of was Stake's gambling odds rigged or not? That's still up in the air. None of the most serious allegations have been proven yet, and Stake denies the most significant ones. But what isn't really as disputed is that a casino that technically is banned in most of the countries it operates in built one of the most effective influencer marketing machines on the internet, generated billions of dollars, and is now really seeing the cost of this approach. So for the next few years, they're probably going to be in court. And it's safe to say this story will probably just get a whole lot more interesting. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 da. Ah, yes. I'm not sure you guys have watched this or not.
But for
already.
this Reddit
This guy, this motherfuckers.
mod just called Congress because he lost his job as a Reddit mod. I have never seen a stereotype more true in my life. This guy's entire life revolves around being a Reddit mod, and he is doing his absolute best to destroy it. Because just within the span of a few weeks, this former Reddit mod went from getting kicked off his own community to, I guess, making phone calls to the US Congress like he's uncovering some sort of like online conspiracy. And somehow this wasn't even a meltdown in his head. This was his mission to make people see what only he could see.
Hello, Spez, Mr. CEO of Reddit. I hope you have received this public video that I have created and sent to you via your email. This video is about a topic of deadly seriousness. I was the top moderator of your #1 gaming subreddit, r/livestreamfail, before I was recently removed from that position by the Reddit Code of Conduct team.
So, if you spent any time watching live streams on whatever platform, chances are you've already came across the subreddit called r/livestreamfail. Usually, it just goes by LSF. It's been around for years and has grown into this kind of like main hub on Reddit for everything related to streaming. For example, when something goes down on a stream, like a ban, a fight, a meltdown, LSF is usually where it surfaces first, and where it gets amplified and then, you know, spread on Twitter and then YouTube videos and so on and so on. So naturally, the people overseeing this, and especially the head moderator, ends up with a decent amount of influence, you know, since they're not just removing spam or enforcing the basic rules, but they're also in a position to somehow kind of like shape what people end up seeing, what gains traction, and what quietly disappears before most people even notice it was posted. And that person, since late 2024, was a guy who goes by Stale2000, whose real name is Brian, but I guess he also has a secondary account called Tarot Card, which, you know, we haven't covered anything here recently that ended badly that was in relation to tarot cards. Absolutely not. But it's safe to say this guy's run as a mod here has been quite controversial way before any of this happened. Because right when he got his position as head moderator back in September 2024, several other mods went public almost immediately, and they asked the community to move to a backup subreddit and accused Stale of refusing to step down after the whole team voted to remove him, essentially citing what they described as a pattern of power abuse.
There's a reason I don't actually turn anyone that watch me a lot, like even they request to become a mod. I refused. I don't, like, even you guys are normal people, I do not want you guys to turn into, let's see, like, what time is it? Okay. I do not want you guys to turn into this motherfuckers. This is, ironically, if that is your job, you will slowly turn into this guy, okay? I do not want the worst fate to my, like, happens to my worst enemy, okay?
What they described as a pattern of power abuse. So when you're accused of power abuse, what do? Well, apparently his response was to kick the entire team and replace them with his own people. Bro, that's like straight out of the dictator handbook. And even a detailed document outlining his conduct was sent to Reddit's admins, though publicly, nothing really came of it. Like, it didn't really take off and Stale stayed in place. Nowadays, there are two different subreddits running. Livestream Fail, which is, I guess, the original one, and then Livestream Fails with an S that never really managed to succeed. Then, March 2025 rolls around and a new mod team comes in. And this one, you know, the one he assembled after the first purge, I guess you could call it, they essentially start having the same issues with him. But this time, things got a lot more heated because the new team found evidence that one of the moderators that Stale had added, I guess someone who was described as a power mod because he was running like 200 subreddits at the same time, he had some very bad and inappropriate interactions with under 18s, allegedly. You know, I'm just trying to tiptoe around this without getting the video smited. That's at least my understanding of what happened. But when they brought it to Stale, according to their account, he sat on it and did nothing. And I guess when they pressed him on why, he admitted that at least part of the reason was he was worried that if he removed this guy, it might put his own standing at risk. Apparently, this guy's priorities are completely mixed up. But the moderators eventually approached the power mod directly and got him to step down voluntarily. Stale, however, responded by thanking him on the way out and then firing the mod team for making a fuss about the whole thing. Excuse me, what? Yeah, that's just not someone you want on your moderating team. What do you mean, make it a fuss about it? So essentially, you have two complete...
I don't want to, like, my job is to mod, but I don't want to mod my own friends out to ruin the friendship.
separate groups of moderators who rallied against Scale, who now had the same fate. They just got deleted from the server because they had problems with them. So now we fast forward until early January 2026, and a new project starts, I guess, making noise online. And this is called $1 Million.
If you're a friend with such a motherfuckers, you have to question your own personalities, okay? If it's like complex things going on there, it's like really like, you know, gray area stuff, then yeah, you might have some right about it, but some right to decide not do anything and then let other people do it. You know, you can just hand in the authority to pass down judgment by just not doing things and then just give the authority to someone, but you keep the fucking authority and never give it the judgment at all. Then that is your fucking issues. Like, means like that guy is not even professional. First, why I can like say this kind of stuff, like, again, like, it's because I mod my own shit. I have to go through a lot of thinking, a lot of things to be able to do this. This is why I distance away a lot of stuff. I have to distance away to a lot of stuff to be able to put a lot of judgment on things. This is why a lot of like streamers, if they're rich enough or like they are big enough, they can just have like their own modding team. For me, I'm just alone. So I end up like being like quite cold and quite distant to a lot of things because I have to have this moment of thought that I have to be expected one day that guy will fucked up. No matter like how trusted he is, one day he will fucked up, and then one day I have to mod him out, one day I have to ban that person, and I cannot have like, you know, hard feeling about it, okay? About like against like something this and that other stuff, like end up like then ban. Like the Simon issues is essentially like that. You know, that fucker just keep pleading a lot of things, so I have no choice but to ban him. Like, and then like also unban him again because he is literally just begging everywhere to get himself banned. I got a little bit sentimental because, like, again, like chatting a lot, this and that other stuff, that does give me a little bit sentimental and stuff. So far, I would say Simon is the only person that I ban and unban multiple times, and then permanently ban later on. It's a very messy thing. Like, I do not wish this particular kind of like work and jobs for anyone because they have to go through so many things.
Early January 2026, and a new project starts, I guess, making noise online, and this is called $1 Million Fan. The idea is pretty simple. A bunch of content creators and their fans would compete head-to-head in a luxury mansion in Canada with an absolute enormous prize pool of $20 million. It was supposed to be developed for Prime Video, with, you know, filming planned for November of 2026. And for scale, I mean, Mr. Beast's game show, which has also been produced and distributed by Prime, had a smaller prize. So right away, the numbers alone are massive. And a handful of streamers got behind it publicly. And on the top of r/livestreamfail, a pin post appeared promoting it. And this was put there by Scale himself. And he said later that he'd reached out to the show's organizers on his own because he personally thought the project was interesting and wanted LSF to be a part of it, but still assured he wasn't paid to promote it. However, given the scale of the project, it was never going to stay contained to LSF. So once the pin post went up, $1 Million Fans started drawing attention outside of the subreddit. And when the broader internet caught wind of it, they began digging. And what they found was definitely not reassuring, to put it lightly, because the front page of their website contained a mansion photo that was an AI-generated stock image. The company behind the show had been incorporated through one of the cheapest registration services in British Columbia, and the listed address was right beside a falafel shop. So it just didn't make sense. Then on top of that, the domain itself was registered in Iceland. And then suddenly, other things started to change. The prize amount had apparently shifted at some point. The main website said $20 million, but now suddenly it was $10 million. There was just a lot of things that didn't line up here. But an interesting find here was the fine print, because a section of the official rules appeared to have just been copy-pasted from Omaze, which used to be like this celebrity sweepstakes company that did like a whole bunch of like Lambo giveaways, and they just gave away everything. So it's like, why is this copy pasted from Omaze? And that company was shut down, by the way, for a whole bunch of lawsuits. But the Culver City PO box used for copyright claims was the same one Omaze had listed, and the company's name in the document was written as $1 Million Fan Reality Show Incorporate. Actually, there was two incorporates. $1 Million Fan Reality Show 1 Incorporate. What? And then you had one section which just seemed like ChatGPT was drafting notes, which also included some like weird note to how to frame payment language and dispute with credit card processors. So it's like, what is this website? What's going on here? Whatever it is, it was very sloppy. We're using this comment for reference because that original website is no longer up. But the only sponsors anyone could identify were a hand.
You know what? Back then, I always have struggling to like name the studio. I'm going to name it Incorporate in this moment. In this moment, now on, I will call this Incorporate Studio.
Handful of affiliate links, a supplement brand, and LSF itself. So that's interesting. But nobody could track down who was behind the whole thing or where the $20 million were actually coming from. So naturally, people started saying that this looked like a scam. And on Reddit, Stale started deleting those comments. So then, on January 13th, the $1 Million Fan website went offline without any warning or explanation. Within the same few days, though, every social media account associated with the project was either deleted or wiped clean. And at that point, Critical had already put out a video before the shutdown, calling the show suspicious and walking through the red flags. But once the site disappeared, he followed up, pointing out that everything about the collapse was consistent with what he described.
And it pertains to last night's video about the $20 million reality TV show called The $1 Million Fan Show. I speculated that it was a big scam, and a lot of Twitch streamers had been publicly put on the website. Some had even made announcements about their endorsement of the $1 Million Fan Show, and nothing about it seemed legitimate. But last night on stream, like 45 minutes after I posted the video, they took their website down. Then I was checking their other ancillary and all of that is removed.
Then back on Reddit, the conversation had shifted almost entirely from the show to the mod who pinned it. So people were formally reporting Stale to Reddit's admin team, asking whether he had been compensated and arguing that using a moderator position to promote an outside project was a direct violation of Reddit's rules. So 2 days later, Reddit's code of conduct team concluded the investigation and removed Stale from the LSF mod team. And this wasn't only his main account, this was also his secondary account, which was Tarot Card, and apparently had a third account called the Positivity Patrol as well. All of them were removed. So I guess just after a year, his run on Livestream Fail was completely done. Now, this is where things start going downhill, because on the same day he was removed, he uploaded a video to YouTube addressing Reddit's CEO, Steve Huffman, also known as Spez. And he, it's safe to say he went viral, to put it lightly. For all the wrong reasons. This is a crazy video.
Hello, Spez. I hope you have received this public video that I have created and sent to you via your email. This video is about a topic of deadly seriousness, and that is of Reddit moderation and the state of your platform. I became a Reddit moderator for one reason, and that is because I think that Reddit communities and correspondingly its moderators have massive power and influence, and for some reason, nobody seems to notice, care, or take this seriously.
You have to know how much of a lacking of self-awareness to be able to make a video like this and add some edit into it, put some background into it, add some flair into it, and then they would be like, man, this is such a good video that I made. I often say that, but I know it's shit. But I truly believe that this guy would say, man, I made such a good video talking about this thing. Like, I would believe this guy, like, completely believe that what he just said. Okay? I can encourage myself by self-praising and then like, man, I'm such a good artist. But in real life, I understand it's just a fucking blank praise to my own. Okay? I know it's not fucking real. But this guy, he's definitely, look at the fucking mirror, man, you're so fucking handsome. And then he'd be like, he actually believed it.
To summarize, Reddit moderators should be treated like celebrities or influencers, not because they deserve respect or anything, but because they actually have real power and influence.
Again, I have never seen a stereotype more true than this. But for some reason, he also defended $1 Million Fan, saying there was no definitive evidence that it was a scam. And he took a direct shot at Critical for what he felt was irresponsible coverage. And after that, Stale and Critical had this like small back and forth with a couple of response videos. And it was one of those follow-ups that Stale actually made an argument that was slightly more interesting than his original one. Because here he pointed out that he'd been able to run Livestream Fail for over a year with what he described as near dictatorial control. And for the most part, nobody above him stepped in. And that's not a small admission because, you know, what he essentially was arguing was, if I had all of this unchecked power, imagine who else does.
If we're worried about bias, I can promise you that there are way bigger fish to fry that I'm not sure that brand deals for community events is really the biggest danger out there.
There are no qualifications to be a Reddit mod.
You're right. Maybe because there are no such qualifications, this is why we're seeing all the problems that we see. Reddit is a $50 billion company that moderators have power over. Maybe not as much power as an overly invested, egotistical power mod as myself might like to believe, but power nonetheless. And most Reddit moderators are completely unqualified, biased, power hungry, and are doing a bad job. And Reddit isn't doing anything to fix it. Maybe it should.
But I guess what he didn't understand was that's what all of the mods previously were accusing him of doing. So it's kind of like, okay, you just proved their point, dude. And to be fair, I mean, Reddit has had recurring issues with moderator overreach for years now. For example, just a couple of months before this whole situation, a single mod on the r/art subreddit locked the entire community after an artist posted about selling their own prints. And apparently they only reopened the subreddit after Reddit staff stepped in. So even though some of the points Dale was making could be true, I'm not sure he's the right messenger. And that's when he made things even worse, because he decided to call Congress. Like, literally. Dude, what are they gonna do? What? I guess the second he realized there was some sort of backlash and the videos maybe weren't landing the way he probably expected, he uploaded a video talking about the 4 levels of irony, which sounds a little bit like a pivot to me, but, you know, then a month later, he starts calling Congress. Again, what are they going to do? You are a Reddit mod. I mean, ex-Reddit mod. What does Congress have anything to do with a Reddit mod? Like, if you want to be a Reddit mod so bad, just make your own subreddit. But in February, almost a whole month after this video, Stale started posting a series of videos making phone calls to government officials. Now, to understand why that even happened, back in November, executives from Reddit, Twitch, Discord, and Steam had been called on the front of the House Oversight Committee for a closed-door session about extremist content on their platforms. Those sessions were transcribed, and the transcripts are supposed to be released to the public at some point. So Stale had decided to try to make that happen by himself.
Let's make the call.
The House Committee on Oversight and Government.
Hi, I'm calling back about getting some transcripts for an unreleased kind of event that happened. There was meetings with companies like Twitch and Discord, and were these ever released? This is about a couple months ago. Somebody told me to call back today.
So apparently, after being removed from the subreddit, he convinced himself that the closed-door meeting transcripts might contain something significant, possibly discussions about the platform moderation that hadn't been made public yet. So he started treating them less like common government records and more like hidden evidence to help him make a case for himself somehow. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't understand his mission. But he called for 3 consecutive days, working his way through different staffers and officials each time, asking them to release what he was calling the Twitch and Reddit files. And at least by the 3rd day, someone told him the committee was aware of his request and we're looking into it.
Hi, I'm calling back to see about an update of something that I called about previously. Some meetings with internet companies like Twitch and Reddit, and I think people forgot to release the transcripts.
I believe you told the staffer Peter.
Yep.
I believe, and we got back with the team, and they're currently, and they are aware of that. So that's the update I have for you now, but they are aware.
Okay.
Okay, so they are aware. Were they? Just to ask, did they forget before?
If
or
I
like,
am that
is it
guy,
just, like,
okay,
in the works, or
I am
is
the
they
guy
still
who on the
working on it?
phone, I'll be like, oh no, it's that motherfucker again. And then like the guy like right next to my desk will be like, that guy again? Guess that guy again. What to do? I don't know. Should we just cut the phone? No, I can't do that. It's our job. Like, but he's like, this is like the sixth fucking time he's calling. I don't know what to do.
I have an answer for you, but they are aware.
Awesome. So apparently contacting the government is pretty common, but in this context, it just made it kind of funny. So in the end, Stale's situation turned out to be multiple stories, which kind of overlap that I wanted to cover. You obviously have the $1 million fan side, which doesn't make sense whatsoever. You have the moderation history, and then finally you have all of his hypocrisy. But either way, the dude, I guess, just destroyed his dream life of being a Reddit mod because he was a little bit too power hungry.
Ooh.
That's the thing is, like, even Potato Mode Gareth looks pretty handsome.
The thing is, though, Lucas, right? I said, like, you know, Gareth reminds me of you to an extent. I've seen you, and you've seen me after a hangover. There are those days when me and you have woken up, like, you know, after a night of drinking, and we've both been low poly that day. So far away, Lucas, and lovely audience at home, are you ready for another Patreon pick Wiki Weekends video?
God, hell yeah. I don't know what we're talking about, though.
Well, let's clarify the topic of today's video for the folks at home. So, once a month, myself and Lucas will put a vote up on our Patreon for you, our audience watching, who happens to support us over there, to choose from. And I put up 4 options this month, and the options were a fictional character I'd like to be friends with, a fictional character I'd hate to be friends with, a fictional character who reminds me of myself, and a fictional character who reminds me of you, Lucas. And what won this month?
It was indeed a fictional character that reminded you of me.
And I thought long and hard, and I thought, well, me and you both play a lot of video games, so I'll pick a character from a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to clarify right away, Lucas, the character I picked and my criteria in no way diminishes you as a friend or as a person.
Oh no. Oh no.
But the nature of video games is that you, the player, empathise with the main character. And I was thinking, okay, who's a side character from a video game that I think reminds me of you?
Wow.
But I don't think of you as a side character in my life, Lucas.
Wow, Carl, I just got side characters.
That's what I mean. I don't want to diminish you as a person or as a friend, but that's the way you play video games. And my first thought was Waka from the game Final Fantasy X. You've not played that, have you? Or you've not played it much?
I've watched you do a full playthrough of it.
Okay, so I'm going to describe some aspects of Waka's characterization that remind me of you, and you, well, you know, let me know if you agree or disagree. So, first of all, appearance-wise, Waka has a, you know, immaculately coiffed shock of brightly coloured hair.
It does, yeah.
You wanna
try that move one more time.
And oddly enough, Lucas's hair today is bright red, much in the same way that
Yes.
Wacker's hair is bright red/orange. Also, he has a laid-back and chilled personality.
Okay, back to the village. I'll get you something.
He hails from a water-adjacent town that is obsessed with a ball game that I don't like.
That's true.
Blitzball!
He happens upon the shaggy-haired protagonist by chance and immediately becomes bros.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Walker.
And finally, his choice in women is goth girls with huge
Blitzball!
That is the one thing that was like, you know what? The one thing I like about this character pick is that he ends up having, like, shacking up with Lulu, right? Having a kid with Lulu.
Excuses again?
Yeah, but
then I realised, Lucas, we talked about Final Fantasy earlier this month, we talked about Tifa,
We did.
and also, you're not too familiar with Final Fantasy X. So I thought to myself, who's another character from a video game who is more bro than Wacker that we can both talk about? That also reminds me of you. And that character was Garrus from Mass Effect.
Oh, hell yeah.
Commander, good to see you.
I love me some Garrett.
Exactly, because I thought, like, who is the biggest bro in video games? Because you're the biggest bro in my life, and I thought it was Garrus, right? Who else has your back more than Garrus from video games? Audience at home, let us know. Is there a character from video games who's a bigger bro than Garrus?
See, this is the thing. If you was to say, like, look, I've picked a companion, as you've described, for the reasons why, you know, the biggest compliment is being Garrus Vicarian, right?
Exactly,
He is,
right.
like, one of the best companions in all video games.
And as well, he's a proper bro.
There's one thing I couldn't dig up, though. Did you really take out 3 Blue Suns mercenaries with 1 bullet?
No, of course not. The third guy had a heart attack. Not fair to count him.
And for anyone watching a Wiki Weekends video for the first time, you're probably very confused because you have no idea who we are. I'm Carl, I'm hosting this video, I'm joined by my good friend Lucas Holland.
Hello there.
We scour the lengths and breadths of the internet for a wiki on a subject we're interested in, and today we're talking about Garrus Vicarian. So Lucas, what are your thoughts on Garrus Vicarian from the Mass Effect series?
Well, I've got to say, Cole, you picked 2 characters that I approve of both of their love interests, right? Because, like, Garrus gets to just rock up with Commander Shepard.
If you want him to. And that's the thing as well, I'm aware that Garrus Vicarian is a romance option in Mass Effect. And it's like, wait, Carl, are you trying to say something to Lucas? It's like, no. When I play Mass Effect, I don't see Garrus as a romanceable companion. I just see him as, he's my, like, you know, bro, he's my ride or die in that universe. But I can appreciate, much like yourself, Lucas, that Garrus is a handsome man. Or Turian, I suppose.
A handsome, weird bird man, yeah.
Also,
that's the thing is, like, props to the voice actor of Garrus Vicarian, because it doesn't matter who you speak to. I don't know many people that aren't like, yeah, Garrus is, like, a really good romance option too. Regardless of, like, Birdman Torianness, it's like, yeah, Garrus is kind of hot.
Been taking lessons on the side.
You're gonna pay for this later.
Even if you don't want to romance Garrus like myself, I can still appreciate that, I know, he's a great character. He's someone that I very much appreciate having in my party, much in the same way I very much appreciate having you, Lucas, in my life as a friend. So, Garrus Vicarian is a Turian, formerly of the CSEC Investigation Office. And I love as well, his arc is like, I'm so fucking sick of being Turian salaryman, let me go shoot things.
Well, that's one thing I really appreciate about Garrus is he's like, I mean, part of it worries me a little bit, but when he's like, I'm so done with red tape and being held back by all these rules, I just want to get my job done.
It didn't start out bad, but as I rose in ranks, I got saddled with more and more red tape. C6 handling of Saren was typical.
Yeah. And we've talked in the past about, like, you know, Mass Effect as a series, and specifically about the Turians as a race. And one of the things I love about Mass Effect, and we've talked about this before, is that I feel that Mass Effect has better world building than Star Wars. In the sense that the world building makes more sense. And it actually feels like a universe that people and aliens live in, rather than the backdrop to a story that concerns 6 people.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
It's one of those wild things of just your first little tour around the Citadel. If you actually bother to go and, you know, investigate every area, you immediately... Yeah. As sensible people would, but some people just go straight to, like, the mission, right? But just walking around that Citadel, you interact with different races that all feel like they have their own logic and rules and civilization to them immediately.
And, in some cases, feel truly alien. Because the problem with Star Wars is that almost every alien in Star Wars is just a person with green or blue shit stuck on their face. And they act like people that are orange, that are blue.
Thrawn.
That's not possible. Thrawn died at the Battle of Lothal.
His death was never confirmed.
This one's face name is Delaninder, though many in this place simply refer to it as Delan.
They don't seem to have a culture of their own that is discernible to an outside viewer, whereas in Mass Effect, all the aliens, even the ones that appear humanoid, have alien cultures. For example, the Taurians. The Taurians are a very militaristic people. And one of the things I like about the Taurians in regards to how they're portrayed is that, hey, in Taurian culture, they don't see, like, striving to better yourself as all that, like, great a characteristic to have. In fact, in Taurian society, they say, like, the greatest, like, accomplishment one can reach is to realise the extent of their abilities and never try and reach beyond that. Which is why Garrus himself is an outlier among his species, because he wants to improve himself.
Taurians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the Taurians, essentially, your, like, role in life as a Taurian is to find your right role in life. It's not to be the most successful, it's to be the most efficient part, like, you know, cog in a machine that you can be.
Yes, or, like, conversely of the Solarians, who are very short-lived species, like, you know, they do the classic in sci-fi, like galactic standard years. They live about 30 to 40 like, equivalent of human years. And as a result of their short lifespan, they have a very different and, in some ways, alien approach to numerous like aspects of culture and warfare. Like we talked about, I think one of the best titles you ever came up with is like Solarians, the Mass Effect race with no chill. Where, like, they say, oh, every Solarian, like, war that ever happened was completely unprompted, and the Solarians just launched a nuclear strike second one.
Taurians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they are letting on.
And when you ask, like, the Solarians, like, why do you do that? It's like, why would we announce we're going to attack? That's fucking stupid.
Just attack.
Just attack. Or, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, of the Asari, who live in excess of 1,000 years. And they talk about how their culture, due to how long-lived they are, is so incomprehensible to humans who live 1/10 their lifespan.
You Asari live for 1,000 years. What happens when your partner dies?
Few sapient species live as long as my kind. We have learned to take a philosophical approach to our unions. We do not focus on the inevitable loss of our partners. Instead, we enjoy the time we spend with them.
For example, you have like Asari politicians making plans that will not bear fruit for several hundred years. But they can justify it off like, well, our species lives for 1,000 years. Even if it takes like 300 years for this, like, you know, plan to come to fruition, we'll be around to see it. And as a result, their society is much more like collective in a macro sense, because they can see the benefit of making long-term plans.
And let's face it, at least in the UK, where they get, you know, voted in or out every 4 years, it usually doesn't span past those 4 years.
Yeah, and the same is true in America. And that's like something that's interesting about interacting with the Mass Effect universe, where like these different cultures, these different alien cultures, do in some cases feel truly alien. And the more alien-looking races, like the Rachni. I fucking love the Rachni. I love when you talk to the Rachni. And it's like, hey, the fuck is going on there? And say, well, we don't talk like you do. We sing. And we all communicate. We're a hive mind that communicates through what you would understand to be music.
We would seek a hidden place to teach our children harmony. If they understand, perhaps we would return.
We got one sentence into Garrus's description. So, like most Taurians, Garrus had military training at 15, but later followed in his father's footsteps to become a salaryman.
And that salaryman specifically is basically Citadel cop. It's like, no.
Like, he wants to be an adventurer. He wants to go out and see the universe. He wants to explore and spread his metaphorical wings. But, like, his culture does not really endorse that.
No, not really. It's more about, again, finding your place to just be. And it's, yeah.
Tori is just Japanese. Easiest thing to say is like Torian is just Japanese.
My dad kind of just told me that I should be a cop, so now I'm a cop and I fucking hate
Not
it.
even a cop, a rent-a-cop. He's a fucking glorified security guard for the safest place in the galaxy.
Good luck, Shepard. Maybe they'll listen to you.
So he was responsible for the investigation of Saren, the Council's top Spectre, after the Alliance claimed Saren had gone rogue. And the thing is that, I like how they claimed he went rogue when... This is one plot detail in Mass Effect that never made sense to me. It's the future. There's all sorts of weird alien future shit. Are you telling me there's not a single camera in Commander Shepard's outfit?
Something about him rubs me the wrong way. But he's a Spectre. Everything he touches is classified. I can't find any hard evidence.
Yeah.
Not a single one? Not a single, like, you know, thing in their helmet designed to record atmospheric conditions, considering they are exploring the unknown?
It would make a lot of sense, but that also kind of shuts down most of Mass Effect storytelling when Shepard's like, no, trust me, there's definitely Reapers out there, they're a real thing. It's, look at my body cam footage. That would kind of throw off a lot of that, right?
Yeah, and it does make sense. You've got Gareth saying he is a cop, he does turn that body cam off, so they can't, like, you know, prove that there's any Reapers or aliens out there.
The thing is, Garrus is so ready to kill, you know he's turned that body cam off.
Oh, you know he does, right? When he's chasing like Hannah on the Citadel, you know he's like whomping out that Mass Effect baton and beating that Hannah within an inch of its life.
This is your show, Shepard, but I want to bring Saren down as much as you do. I'm coming with you.
That's the thing, I joke about this because, you know, it's a video game, a very violence-based video game. A lot of the action within it is just shooting things. It's like...
It's an Xbox 360 era game. Every game in that era involves shooting people in some way. And kill streaks.
Yeah, exactly. Kill streaks, right? Like, yay, we get to, like, nuke people because we killed a lot in Call of Duty without dying. It's like, oh... But, yeah, no, I like the aspect of, like, Garrus just wants to explore and get things done. Maybe not via the option of a sniper rifle every time.
Saren is a traitor to the Council and a disgrace to my people.
Welcome aboard, Garrus.
Although Garrus was told that the investigation into Saren was over, he decided to defy the Executor's orders and pursue another lead on his own. And that's one of the things that makes him an anomaly within, like, you know, his culture, among his people. Whereas Taurians as a whole are very militaristic and greatly appreciate and adhere to the idea of the hierarchy.
Literally, the Taurian army is the strongest fleet that we're aware of in that galaxy, right?
Besides the Geth.
Are the Geth considered a more powerful force?
I'm
than
not
the Taurians?
sure. We'd have to look up what they like amount to in Mass Effect 3, you know, like the war assets.
Mm-hmm.
And I do recall, like, in Mass Effect 3 when you have like the choice of save the Quarians, save the Geth, and the Quarians like, hey, look, we've not got too big a fleet, but we can strap fucking death cannons to all of the hospital ships. And then the Geth are like, well, we are a collective, like, hive mind of super intelligent, hyper fast computers who can communicate instantaneously across, like, the far reaches of space. Also, every like inch of a Geth ship is just a fucking gun.
With these upgrades, our fleet could retake Earth. We could assist with the Crucible. Please, this is not justice.
That's the thing, I don't know who has the biggest fleet, I want to know who has the strongest, so I'm trying to, in the background, just look up, like, the war asset strength of each different faction and stuff.
Like, that's like probably the not fairest way, but probably the closest one to get to an in-game confirmation of which army.
They give us a numeric value of how influential something is towards the war against the Reapers. They give us a literal number.
Yeah, I still love, though, when you're looking at, like, the war assets. So in Mass Effect 3, it's the entire universe is at stake. Your mission as Commander Shepard is go out into the galaxy and get everyone to join your cause. And when they join your cause, you get them as a war asset. One of my favourite things about the war asset is that there's individuals who are worth more than entire armies. Like, you effectively have, like, hero units in that game. Like, Erdnot Rex is worth, like, 20 war assets, which is worth, like, an entire squadron of fucking Solarian soldiers. Just one Rex!
It does say here that the Geth Corps, which is like just a group of elite Geth, essentially, they are worth like 300.
And that's not even the Geth fleet. That's just some Geth.
I'm having a look at what the Taurians are.
You find that out, and I'm going to go through some information now about Garrus Vakarian. So, In the first game, his personal assignment is to track down a criminal who got away from him. When asked about his views on CSEC and some of his old cases, he mentions a particularly gruesome case involving a Solarian doctor who escaped the Citadel with hostages because the authorities wouldn't fire on his vessel. That's like he tells a cop, right, of like, hey, that's a fleeing suspect who's not armed. Shoot him in the fucking back! Shoot him down! Shoot him down with the hostages on board! I still think, though, Mass Effect 3, as fun as that game is, like, surely every argument should just be, from Shepard, if you don't join me, literally everybody in the universe dies.
Yeah, because it makes more sense when it's like the beginning of the game where people don't necessarily
believe that the Reapers are there.
It's like, oh hey, we literally fought like a giant human Reaper in the second game. It's like, yeah, but no one really believes that that happened, Shepard. Like,
again,
you're just
where were the
making it
cameras?
all. Yeah, exactly, right. And it's just that makes sense that they've like, you know, taken the foot off the pedal when Shepard's been put in like, you know, essentially jail, office jail instead. But it's like when the Reapers have shown up and are obliterating planets very quickly, you would think that all argument goes out the window. It's like, yeah, we'll just do what you say.
It's like, who's the only person in the galaxy who killed one Reaper so far? Oh, Commander Shepard. Let's listen to that guy or that gal. But we move back now, Lucas, to Garrus Vakarian's wiki entry. We have one here on loyalty. And his loyalty mission, he mentions here, and we've got a quote from Garrus, it's much easier to see the world in black and white. Grey, I don't know what to do with grey. That's his whole arc, isn't it? Of like, he goes from seeing the world in terms of like, you know, bad and good, criminal, law-abiding citizen, and there's something in between. And that in-between thing, that's interesting. I want to know what goes on there.
Yeah, because I think pretty much Garrus is the only character that, regardless of what you do, has your back, because
that's
Garrus appreciates the nuance of the decisions that you're making.
Yeah, so those of you who aren't familiar with Mass Effect, it has a morality system, Paragon and Renegade. Paragon is be a goody two-shoes who wants to save everybody. Renegade is, depending on how hard you lean into it, either just like, fuck you, we're getting the job done, all the way down to like space racist.
Yeah. When we replayed through those games and went full Renegade and started just having to pull back a bit, 'cause it's like, I don't want my Commander Shepard to just hate alien races.
Yeah, I always assume the full Renegade path would be doing whatever is necessary for the greater good. And like, if you go full Renegade, it's like, nah man, fucking space racism. Humanity forever.
If we step forward now, nobody will be able to stop us.
The Council was always holding us back. When I saw the opportunity to get rid of them, I took it.
It feels really especially weird when all of your crew for 3 games has been very helpful and wonderful different races.
Not to mention as well, the most ride or die among your crew is Garrus. So it feels very strange to go down the full Renegade path of like human supremacy forever, when like your number one like ride or die bro on the ship is an alien.
I do like the idea that they've just turned around and gone, oh no, she's done a full Ashley.
She's done it. To be fair, I wouldn't know, because Ashley never makes it past that first game for me, but we know, go to the loyalty mission. So Shepard has an opportunity to ask Garrus about past events when catching up. And who are those people out there who aren't talking to their crew every mission? I've always found this weird. Who plays Mass Effect, a game that is largely like, you know, story driven, and doesn't take the opportunity to talk to their crew and their teammates? That's the game to me. Like, the shooting in Mass Effect, for me, it gets in the way of the romance simulating underneath.
Quarantine zone for a plague that kills Turians. Why don't we ever go anywhere nice?
Yeah, it's inconsequential. It's a decision-making game to me, and I, especially like Mass Effect 1, I still like playing Mass Effect 1 and can power through those action parts because the action isn't the important part.
And I would be curious, like, is there anyone out there who's playing these games as action games and doesn't really care about story all that much?
I have spoken to a person once that said, oh yeah, I just like the shooting in it.
It's like, especially like the Xbox 360 era of like, there's like 50 other games with better shooting in it.
Yeah, like they legit were just like, oh, I just kind of went with whatever came up first.
And I guess that like leads into that like infamous statistic released by the developers of Mass Effect, where it's like a majority of players played male soldier Paragon Shepard, which is default, and just pick the goody two-shoe options for every single dialogue choice because they didn't like want to see the nuance. They wanted to get the quote-unquote best result.
And also, I think it was that included within that, they didn't even customize the character. It was just completely default Shepard. Like, yeah, that'll do. That default-looking character, just that'll do.
That'll do. I want players like male supermodel Mark Vanderloo, but hey, we move on now. So, when you have the opportunity to talk to him, the Turian recounts the story of his team's death. One of his crew, Sidonis, requested his help on a job that turned out to be bogus. Garrus returned to his base only to find out the rest of the team were massacred. All but 2 of the squad were dead when he reached them, and the 2 didn't last long that much afterwards. And this is like where you find out, like, this is why Garrus is like fucking gung-ho on being your bro. Because he was betrayed once before, and his trust is hard-earned, but when it is earned, like, he's got your back.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Thanks for helping me with this, Shepard.
Either way, whether he's the only person or whether he's one of the only couple of people, like, I always feel like you have a stronger allegiance with Garrus because, again, like I said, just he has nuance in his decision-making, whereas someone like Tali, for example, all of a sudden you can lose her approval when, like, you decide to go with the Geth over the Quarians, right?
I know there is, like, a theoretical, like, perfect golden path through the game where you can make the Geth happy and the Quarians happy, keep Tali, keep Legion, keep the peace, but it's very difficult to do and almost impossible to do without extra universe knowledge of the exact, like, set of decisions you have to make. And in most of my playthroughs, when I'm trying to go in there blind, or at least as blind as I can with the knowledge that I already have, I invariably fuck up somewhere and end up losing one of my party members. But you know what? I feel that's thematic. It makes sense, right? It's a game about war. It's a game about loss. It's a game about sacrifice. You lose one of your party members, but you save the universe.
Do you remember when we were playing through Mass Effect 2 a few years back? And we made it through the suicide mission with every single person, apart from Zaid, died right at the last second. And we went, you know what? Still a perfect mission.
Yeah, because we don't like Zaid. He was like DLC, one of like, you need an extra... I feel like Zaid was only created so you had like a buffer in that end, like, suicide mission of you can sacrifice one party member you kind of don't like and still, like, leave all your bros.
Yeah, he's like day 1 DLC with basically no character, where he's just a mercenary that'll show up because he got paid. We got Zaid killed!
Wait, what?
Oh no! Call it, chat! This is on you! It's like, yeah, you know what? You got paid and then you died. Your family will take that money, don't worry.
There we go.
Someone's got to hold the door. Well, this sounds like a job for Zaid. Oh no!
No, wait. Zaid, do you reckon you can just do it while you're dying, Zaid?
They just put a grenade in his hand.
After he learned that Sidonis cleared out his accounts and booked transport off Omega just before the attack, he finds out that Sidonis was spotted on the Citadel in the company of a professional forger named Fade. And that's where you have to, like, team up with Garrus and go track this dude down.
Listen, Sidonis, I'm here to help you.
Don't ever say that name aloud.
I'm a friend of Garrus. He wants you dead, but I'm hoping that's not necessary.
Garrus, is this some kind of joke?
Yeah,
and you have the choice, like, you have the Renegade choice, like, shoot the guy dead, or you have the Paragon choice.
Guess there's nothing I can say to make it right.
Just go. Tell him to go.
He's giving you a second chance, Sidonis. Don't waste it.
And Lucas, in your opinion, what is the correct choice to make there? And I don't mean correct in the sense of, like, good/bad as the game views it, Paragon Renegade. What do you think is the quote-unquote moral choice to make in that regard? Because I always just let Garrus shoot him.
You know what you're doing?
No, but I'm not turning back now.
Yeah, I think the moral thing to do is to let Garrus arrest them. I think the correct thing to do in that moment, where you're trying to let Garrus know that, like, hey, we're cool, come and join me and you can do whatever you want, whatever you feel is right, I think you should let Garrus shoot him.
Yeah, because, like, dude was a betrayer, and he resulted in the deaths of all of Garrus's friends. Like, it feels like, you know, appropriate that he dies at the hand of Garrus, rather than, like, you know, rotting away in prison for, like, 30, 40 fucking years.
I've always hated injustice. The thought that Sidonis could get away with this. Why should he go on living while 10 good men lie in unmarked graves? I'm sorry, Shepard. Words aren't going to solve this problem.
And it's kind of a shame that you, as the player, basically have to make the choice for Garrus. Because I think to Baldur's Gate, specifically Baldur's Gate 3, and there's numerous points in that game where your party members will make decisions that are informed not by you, but by your actions up to that point. For example, you have, like, Astarion, where Astarion wants to become a vampire lord. He wants to become an ascended vampire because he's scared. And you only know that he's scared of, like, you know, being weak if you get to know him. Potentially romance him, potentially just become his friend. And when you get to the point where you get to make the choice, you can convince him one way or the other. You can convince him to become a vampire lord. You can convince him to throw away the chance to do so. You can also let him make his own choice.
No, Astarion, stop this!
Don't you dare! I can feel their power flowing into me!
And I love the idea that you can take a step back and let the character make their own choice. And I wish Mass Effect had more moments like that, where, like with Garrus, where you can take a step back and Garrus can either shoot the guy or arrest him. And maybe the decision Garrus makes would be slightly influenced by how many Paragon or Renegade decisions he's seen you make. Because that'd give like the suggestion that, like, hey, Garrus is a party member, he's making his own decisions, but those decisions informed by the ones that you make.
You, Shepard.
Yeah, I think part of that is just, Baldur's Gate 3 is a much newer game. They had a lot more time in development and things like that, and went through early access. They had a lot more resources to be able to do that kind of thing. But, it's one of those of, I would have loved to play a version of Mass Effect where, as you say, that there's like a few scripted moments where you can just take a step back and go, guess what? I want to learn about this character and what their motivations are, because
I'm curious what decision Garrus would make and whether I'd agree with it or not. Because I think that can make for interesting gameplay, like in Baldur's Gate 3, where you can just have the chance, very occasionally, to just let a party member make their own choice. And sometimes they make a choice that you don't agree with, and you have to live with that. And for a role-playing game, that's interesting. It adds like a lot of flavour to that particular playthrough.
I think there are moments in Mass Effect where, you can tell that that's a game published by EA of like, well, okay, BioWare, you've got 2 more years to knock out the sequel. Get moving. Come on.
You, Shepard.
Like, for example, there were times where we would bring along a third-party member that was thematic to the mission that we knew we were going to go on, and they're kind of inconsequential. They might make a quip here or two, but they don't really join in the conversation.
Yeah, they'll chime in on dialogue, right? Like, one of my favourite missions in Mass Effect, in terms of like how much you can fuck it up by like getting the wrong party configuration, is where it's like, oh, Tali, the Quarian, has been accused of helping the Geth. It's like, well, I wonder who's joining on this mission. Legion the Geth! And when you walk in, they even say, like, are you fucking serious, Commander Shepard? Like, you're here accused of helping the Geth, and you thought bringing a Geth would help your case?
I don't think it's a good idea to bring a Geth.
Tali is basically being brought to a court case to decide whether she's, like, in with the Geth or not. And Shepard's like, perfect, bring Legion into the mix.
And I wish there were more moments in Mass Effect where you could deliberately put your thumb on the scale to try and influence the scene, not directly, but indirectly, just via your actions up to that point.
Because, like, I love the thing of, have you been working with the Geth, Tali? No. What do you call that thing in the corner? Legions are, like, mugging the camera.
I also love as well that it speaks to, like, Commander Shepard's reputation, that they let you get away with it just because you're Commander Shepard.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah, it's a fun addition to the dialogue, but it doesn't make it insta-fail or anything. It would be kind of funny if you could entirely fail a mission by not thinking through your character picks, though.
Or if you brought Legion with you, you've got like dialogue choices you had to pass. Like you had to convince them to let you on board because you're bringing a Geth with you.
And then if you pass those checks, maybe you could have a moment where Legion actually, makes a statement and convinces the Quarians of, like, his lack of aggression towards them or something.
Yeah, like, you don't have to give the speech that you do in that game. Like, you could, like I said, you're not directly influencing the decisions being made, you're indirectly influencing them, which I find very interesting in story and dialogue-driven games. But, we move on now, speaking of story and dialogue-driven, romance. So I've never romanced Garrus in any serious playthrough, though I have done it in a playthrough just to see what it's like.
Is this that first date thing we talked about? Got it. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I come here often. Good place to blow off steam. Scenery's not bad either. Though the view in front of me is even better.
Okay, yeah. So I have had a run of probably romancing every single character, like, between my runs.
So in my canon playthrough, Garrus, as mentioned, is my ride or die, is my bro. Much in the same way you are, Lucas. But I have done a playthrough where it's like, well, I've never seen this cutscene, this interaction. I've never seen how much it changes the interaction you have with Garrus if you romance him.
So in your head, do you have canonical romances?
I think my canonical Shepherd doesn't have a romance option, because I play... I've played multiple ways through the game. I've done full Paragon, full Renegade, and mixed in between, but my canon Shepherd is a little bit Renegade and doesn't have time for romance. I think, like, maybe they have, like, a dalliance with that, like, member of your crew who has a crush on you.
Right, yeah.
But in my head, like, every member of, like, the main crew, the people who can join you on missions, they're my bros. And I feel that, like, for Shepherd being the no-nonsense motherfucker that they are, like, getting into a personal relationship with one of them would just be fucking stupid.
That's supposed to melt a girl's heart?
No, but this voice is.
Yeah, I have a similar way of thinking. I do, like, my canon Shepherd is, like, a femme Shep that's mostly Renegade, but a bit Paragon when, like, they don't want to go, like, the spacist route.
I'm in agreement, and in my head, Commander Shepherd is smart enough to know when they need carrots and when they need the stick.
I've had enough of your snide insinuations.
Yeah, and, like, for each individual game, I have a different romance pick where I go...
Oh, you play Slut Shep. You are banging your way across the galaxy.
In the first Mass Effect, my canon option to me is Liara, and then in Mass Effect 2 is Jack, and then in Mass Effect 3, I go down your route of, now the universe is literally getting torn apart, I don't have the time, we need to get the job done.
But Commander Shepard still needs to get their dick wet. I love this. I've got a quote from Garrus, and this is him trying to flirt. So your hair looks good, and your waist is very supportive. And again, that makes the universe feel alien. Of Taurians have different like criteria for what they find attractive, as do like the Krogan, as do the Solarians, as do the Asari. Like the Asari, they talk about how like, well, you know, we can breed with any race in the universe because, like, you know, we're an entirely female species, and we take DNA from the quote-unquote father, for lack of a better term, and the baby will always be Asari. Like, they more, like, value, like, a mental connection, a spiritual one.
See any action? Not yet.
They value a mental connection, but they also, in terms of, like, flirtation, they just appeal to whatever needs to be appealed to, regardless of, like, you know, what species they're going after. It's just, no, we can kind of be quite broad in the way that we approach flirtation and romance.
And speaking of the universe of Mass Effect, like feeling like a complete universe, a detail that I adore, like buried in the Codex, is that no one actually knows if the Asari look like that. Because every race, when you ask them, what do Asari look like, or what attracted you to that Asari, answers differently. And it's not clear if it's just the different races find different aspects of the Asari's physiology attractive, or the Asari is incredibly powerful, natively biotic or psychic aliens. They can subtly influence what you see. For example, like when a human looks at an Asari, you see a bodacious, stacked lady with huge knockers. But when you ask, like, Taurians, this is in the Codex, like, Taurians notice, like, you know, the ridges on their head. You ask the Solarians, they notice, like, you know, the subtle variation in the coloration of their, like, you know, their freckles.
Yeah, it's interesting because, obviously, we play the game through only human avatars.
Exactly.
So are we just seeing what humans see in the Asari, and maybe a Taurian literally sees a different person?
Or they just appreciate different aspects of their physiology, and the fact they never clarify that makes it interesting to me. Because they're alien, how would we ever fully understand how they function? Especially after, like, you know, what, 200 years they say humanity's been a member of the Council? That's nowhere near enough time.
Like that, yeah.
Like, that's not even, like, one Asari's lifetime.
No, literally, that's like a quarter, a fifth.
And I find that interesting. And like I said, like, when you, like, flirt with the various aliens, like, you can romance in Mass Effect, they all have different criteria for what they find attractive. And
It sounds like you're carrying some tension. Maybe I could help you get rid of it.
I didn't think you'd feel like sparring, Commander.
And that's one interesting thing, is, like, when we say that the world building is better than something like Star Wars, it isn't always necessarily about having answers. Sometimes leaving things unanswered is just as interesting.
That's a very good point there, because I think a weakness of Star Wars is that everything's explained, and as a result, there's no mystery.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, like when you watch those first trilogies and you've got so many questions about how does this work, how does that work, and then they made 19 TV shows explaining how every single individual thing worked.
They made a movie explaining how Han Solo got his name. Like, who gives a fuck? But, in regards to Garrus's romance, he becomes a potential romance for a female shepherd only. And this is, fun fact, a response to female players of the first Mass Effect game who were confused and, in some cases, annoyed that Garrus wasn't a romanceable option, gameplay-wise. And apparently the developers were completely blindsided by the fact that Garrus would be attractive to women, and they were genuinely confused why until they
Garrus
asked,
is
women
attractive
to
to everyone.
Say, well, why did you
I'm not
find
even
Garrus
gay.
attractive? Why
I
did you
say
want
like
to
that is
romance
the
him? Why did you
most
just not
manliest
become
man in the
romantic?
world.
Well, it's because Garrus, and I think this is something we've talked about in the past because Mass Effect it can be played as either male shepherd or female shepherd. All language in the game, save for a very minute number of examples, is completely gender neutral, and as a result, all of the dialogue for female shepherd never sexualizes them.
Congrats on the win, Commander Shepard.
You too, Commander Shepard.
Seriously?
Sorry, Garrus. You have to admit it's quite an honor.
It's quite an award. Where are we going to put that bad boy?
And that was wholly unintentional and was largely a result of the fact that, hey, we don't want to write all the dialogue twice, just write gender-neutral dialogue. But writing gender-neutral dialogue meant that they didn't write sexist dialogue. And for example, Garrus never openly flirts with female shepherd because that was never intended, because she could be playing as male shepherd. So as a result, he just treats whatever shepherd you're playing as with respect. And for some reason, women like that.
Nobody would give me a mirror. How bad is it?
Hell, Garrus, you were always ugly. Slap some face paint on there and no one will even notice.
With an awesome voice, and that voice is portrayed by Brandon Keener.
That's supposed to melt a girl's heart?
No, but this voice is. I'm Garrus Vakarian, codename Archangel. All-round Turian bad boy and dispenser of justice in an unjust galaxy.
And there's another game where Brendan Keener was a companion in recently, which was Avowed. And similarly, it's just, oh, well, that character, I don't know what their name is Avowed, but Brendan Keener's character is just apparently the best companion in that game. And it's like, just, yeah, I've got a really nice, awesome sounding companion that reminds me of Garrus. It's like, well, there's a reason it reminds you of Garrus.
Come on. I couldn't have kept her out of the action if I wanted to. I knew you were a bad influence.
Well, I do think that's interesting, right? That one of the reasons why female players responded so strongly to Garrus was a complete accident and something that the developers didn't actually anticipate or expect. It's like, well, we wrote gender-neutral dialogue for basically every single interaction you have in the game, and as a result, when you play through Mass Effect as female shepherd, nobody treats you differently. In fact, they treat you the exact same as they would a man. And that was unintentional, because if they had more resources and more time, they probably would have written in people calling a female shepherd sugar tits and stuff.
Yeah, because you do get every now and then those options, right, where Commander Shepard is a bit creepy, like the scene where they get rejected for the threesome, right? And they're like, oh, come on.
Clearly written by a lot of men, and we know that because the writing team of Mass Effect admitted that for Mass Effect 2, they brought in women to ask them, hey, tell us what you like in a man.
And that's one thing that really annoys me, because my secondary pick for a romance in Mass Effect 2 is Thane, and then you get to Mass Effect 3, and it's just like most of your party members are either dying, dead, or just not there, and I'm like, but Jack and Thane, they're my ones, and they're both gone.
Be alive with me tonight.
And a short version of a story we've covered before is that Thane was the result of those aforementioned meetings with women, asking them what they liked in a man. And they basically took everything women said about what they found attractive and just wrote the character of Thane.
And goddamn, that's also an attractive companion.
Is indeed, yes. But, after you complete Garrus's loyalty mission, he becomes available for romance. Throughout the romance, Garrus' demeanour is somewhat awkward, reminding me of you already, Lucas. Nevertheless, if Shepard asks Garrus whether his behaviour suggests he's uncomfortable with the idea, Garrus says he's just nervous and that Shepard never has to worry about making him uncomfortable.
Don't make me come.
Shepard, is it just the alcohol, or do you have vids running in your head of us mostly naked, completely alone, and shamelessly rolling all over a couch?
In these more vulnerable moments, he admits that he feels very alone in the galaxy, and considering Shepard the only friend he has left. And that's the thing as well. Who'd have thought that people would respond strongly to a man who's willing to admit to emotional vulnerability? Who'd have thought that women would find that attractive?
It's not like women tell people this all the time.
Are you ready to be a one-Turian kind of woman?
The only thing that made leaving Earth bearable was knowing you were out there somewhere.
Lucas, now we have a cameo from our favourite fucking crewmate. When Mordin notices Shepard's attraction to Garrus, you can ask him for advice regarding the Turian, and he will warn Shepard about, and I quote, chafing.
Sexual activity normal stress release for humans and Turians. Still, recommend caution. Warn of chafing.
And this is what I mean in regards to world building of Star Wars would fucking never have the balls to have a moment where someone's like, hey, how do I fuck that alien? And in Mass Effect, you have a science crewmate who will explain to you the logistics and mechanics of fucking said alien.
Yeah, the whole context is, if you pick any of the aliens in Mass Effect 2 to have a romance option with, you get a scene where you can talk to Mordin and be like, hey, how's this, like, physically going to work, and what do I need to know and worry about?
Yeah, like, what's going on down there?
Aware that you and Jack are sexually active, or planning to be, suggest caution. Emotionally unstable biotics dangerous during intercourse.
I'm aware that Jack is dangerous, but I want to see where this goes.
As I mentioned, a huge criticism I have of Star Wars is that every alien is just a person painted a different colour. In Mass Effect, they actually take into account the fact that, hey, well, okay, it's one thing to like Garrus, but he's a fucking alien. There's some weird shit going on down there, and it might not be compatible with the shit you've got going down on there. We need to figure that out. And it mentions that after warning you about chafing, he suggests that you return afterwards for a painkiller, because the Turian tissue has numerous acids in it that can cause an allergic reaction in humans. He later forwards an information packet regarding Turian physiology and positions that are comfortable for both species. So he even sends you, like, alien Kama Sutra.
It's so good.
And it's like, this sounds weird, but at the same time, someone thought about it more than not at all, and it makes the universe feel richer. Like, this is completely optional content you don't have to interact with.
Yeah, how many times have we seen different sci-fi stuff where it's like, well, how are you going to romance that alien? How does that work? And it's like, I know that every single crew member, just for the sake of, like, you know, motion capture and, like, animation and stuff, they're all humanoid characters on your party. The aliens are the ones that are, like, around on the Citadel and stuff like that. But I'm
still magic I get, like, a Hanar crewmate or a Ragnar crewmate. Not even to romance, just to have on your team.
Oh, God, the Hanar.
The Hanar are so fucking cool. And, like, you know, in regards to, like, romances, like, I like the one with Tali, where her species is, like, basically locked inside, like, pressurized suits. And you don't even know what Tali looks like. And in regards to, like, romance and alien cultures feeling alien, they talk about how, like, well, physical relations between our species do not happen.
If I'm going to be with you, I want it to be real. I need to feel your skin on mine. I've never shown my face to anyone, but I'm ready to show you, if I can do it without dying.
They say that the closest thing that, you know, a Quarian can do with another Quarian is to share the biomes of their suits, like to connect their suits and share the same ecosystem, because it shows absolute and complete trust in the individual. And if you want to romance them as Shepard, you have to go to, like, Mordin's like, hey, can you develop some absolute fucking mega antibiotics so I can stick my dick in it? And I think even when you talk to Tali afterwards, she's got a cold.
So you know, I'm running a fever, I've got a nasty cough, and my sinuses are filled with something I can't even describe. And it was totally worth it.
But do you remember that, like, there is one thing that shows what Tali looks like?
I think, yeah, in Mass Effect 3, based on who your, like, romance partner was in the previous game, they put, like, a little Easter egg in the form of a picture on Shepard's, like, bedside table.
So what happened is, in Mass Effect 3, there's just a, like, blued up stock photo that's meant to be Tali in a picture, and then in the Legendary Edition they went in and fixed it and just put an image of Tali in the outfit. They just had the helmet removed so you could see her face.
I remembered that it looked bad in one version and they fixed it for like the Legendary Edition, like you said, and it's just, it legitimately felt like it weakened the universe as a whole of. I wasn't attracted to Tali because she was like, you know, beautiful underneath. I wasn't looking like, you know, ooh, why don't she look like when she takes that mask off? Like, I liked her as a character because I liked talking to her.
Exactly, she's like a really interesting character to talk to.
I'm having a drink with my boyfriend. My human boyfriend. My father would have hated you.
Here's to him, then.
And I'm sure that was just like a quick thing that they threw in there. Like,
right?
we just photoshopped the stock image and we didn't really think that anyone would notice this in the background. But it's the one picture we ever saw of what that character looks like under armor. What do you mean we're not gonna notice it?
But Lucas, we move on, last but not least, to some trivia about Garrus. So on the trivia section, it mentions that along with Ashley, who I don't remember them past like the events of the first game, Garrus is one of the poster characters for Mass Effect, appearing on most of the promotional art and demo footage.
Yeah, and I did double check, it is just Garrus and Tali that are party members in all three, because, yeah, the secret behind a game where your characters can die is that it then makes it really awkward to put them in the next game as a party member, because we might have put in all that effort for a character that's just dead.
So all they're going to get in the next game is a cameo. And as mentioned, like, you know, it's a weakness and a strength of the game.
It's one of the strongest aspects of Mass Effect 2 and what makes it such a fantastic game, but it means that Mass Effect 3's got to be stripped back for it.
Yeah, because like potentially at the end of Mass Effect 2 you could lose literally every single one of your party members, which, you know, makes for an interesting game with high stakes. But in the sequel it means that, well, they're not going to write multiple lines of dialogue for a character who might not fucking exist. They get a cameo at best. Yeah,
if your party from Mass Effect 2 was continued on into 3, there's a chance that you could be scraping by with barely a crew.
Exactly, so we're not going to write dialogue for that. As I mentioned earlier, we're not going to write two sets of dialogue based on whether you're playing as male Shepard or female Shepard. Just write gender-neutral dialogue, and that was an inadvertent boon to the game, and especially like, you know, with female players, of which like Mass Effect has a lot. It has a lot of female players and a lot of female fans. But you know, we move on now, Lucas, too. There is a bug in the original PC version of Mass Effect where even on the absolute highest detail setting, the textures of Garrus' face will remain remarkably low quality. He's too handsome. It's blocking. This was known by the developers of the game, who said that due to the game was made, it would require a multi-gigabyte patch to fix.
Oh my god.
I just like the idea that even on the absolute highest setting, you just got this like fucking tofu from Resident Evil joined your party.
Oh, I really want to see what he looks like.
You find low poly Garrus for us, Lucas. I'll, of course, upload it in the edit so the folks already know what it looks like. Garrus's trademark visor is explained to be a custom targeting one based on the Turian version of the Kuwashi visor. It holds great personal significance to him as he never is seen without it, even during his romance subplot. The Turian visor stays on.
And again, like, that's just one of those things that it's just easier to keep it on, right? Like
we're not changing his entire fucking model for a scene that about 15% of players are even going to see.
Oh, what a night. But look who's here.
Yeah, I hung out in a lot of places last night. Your upper body, your lower body, pretty much all the parts in between.
Shepard and Garrus' relationship has been described by writers as, to a degree, one of mentor and protege respectively, as Garrus usually seeks out Shepard's advice and opinion regarding what he should do, with Garrus generally following Shepard's example. And that's why I never felt right romancing him. Because one, like, he's my bro, and two, that like he looks to Shepard for advice, so it does feel like you're kind of taking advantage of a subordinate, especially when Shepard's like the one in charge. It's like, I always felt like all those romance choices, the fact that people say no is a bit weird. It's like, especially playing Renegade shit, it's like they're getting flushed out of the airlock. Right? Like, without bad Renegade Shepard, it's just like, hey, do you want to join me on bed chambers? I'm not really comfortable with that Shepard. Boom! And oh my god, low poly Garrus. You know what? Still got it.
That's the thing is, like, Even potato mouth Gareth looks pretty handsome.
The thing is though, Lucas, right, I said, like, you know, Gareth reminds me of you to an extent. I've seen you and you've seen me after a hangover. There are those days when me and you have woken up, like, you know, after a night of drinking and we've both been low poly that day.
Yeah,
like
I've seen low res
just
Carl.
you wake up low poly. When, like, you know, you're just not rendered right.
Yeah, we've all had those days.
The quick stir with the uncanny ability to
Shout out our supporters on...
Alright, I need you to join a little bit. But, yeah, I've been doing lots of rendering. Almost done. And then eye blinking stuff, this and that other stuff. Things will be done so far, so good. Later on. Grab some snack. Yep. This one.
This 19-year-old girl was left brain dead after trying out a TikTok trend with her boyfriend. So this is just another hard story to cover because, once again, in the same month, I'm talking about yet another teenager whose life was lost due to an internet trend. And I feel like these trends and tragedies are more avoidable than ever, hence why I decided to make these videos because, hey, clearly there's some awareness needed around blindly doing some trend that you see on TikTok. When in doubt, don't. Because earlier this month, I covered a story of a guy named Michael, who was an 18-year-old who had his life taken away when him and his friends decided to allegedly play a modified version of Ding Dong Ditch together at 3 in the morning, where you essentially jump kick the door instead of ringing the doorbell. But this time, it's Rena O'Rourke, a 19-year-old from Tempe, Arizona, who was described as a one-of-a-kind and someone who dreamt of becoming famous.
Rena O'Rourke, a 19-year-old from Tempe, Arizona, tragically passed away after participating in a TikTok trend known as dusting. Rena had door-dashed aerosol keyboard cleaner to her home and inhaled it, leading to cardiac arrest. Rena's father, Aaron O'Rourke, shared, "She always said, 'I'm going to be famous, Dad.'"
It's clear that Rena wanted her name to be known. It's just unfortunate that this is the reason why. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the stories I cover start off this way. It's like the whole I'm going to be famous mindset. And that's why there's just so many TikTokers end up either getting banned, arrested, becoming universally hated, or having a tragic ending like this. But this is just nothing short of a completely preventable tragedy. Rena was only 19 when she lost her life after attempting something known as dusting, which honestly, that's been around for ages, but in recent times, TikTok has also popularized it. And if you don't know what it is, massive warning, never try this whatsoever. Please don't. That is my disclaimer. Never do something. But it's essentially inhaling computer duster because that gives you some short-term high, apparently. And obviously, this isn't just about one tragedy. This is also about a deadly online trend that represents an even larger and deeper problem that I'll talk about later on in this video. So what happened? On June 1st, 2025, Rena and her boyfriend DoorDashed a can of keyboard cleaner, something that is honestly fairly common. I probably have one laying around somewhere here. After the can was delivered, Rena and her boyfriend retreated into her room. And then I guess they decided to do this trend. And just seconds after inhaling the keyboard cleaner, Rena went into cardiac arrest. She never regained consciousness. And after a week in the ICU, Rena was declared brain dead on June 1st, 2025. Doctors then later confirmed the cause of her death as sudden sniffing death syndrome, which is an absolutely horrifying yet also fake-sounding name. I had no idea that this was a thing. Let's talk about what she did and why exactly it's dangerous.
The trend, also called chroming or huffing, involves inhaling household cleaners for a brief euphoria. According to the Cleveland Clinic, this can cause instant fatal heart failure.
As I mentioned earlier, dusting isn't exactly new. Inhalants have been a problem for decades, and dusting is just the term for inhaling compressed air specifically. Similar to how spray paint is chroming and huffing refers to fumes like glue or gasoline. They all essentially do the same thing, just different chemicals. Tomato, tomato. And while inhalants like this usually only last for a few seconds, the effects are immediately devastating and sometimes permanent. Rena didn't collapse a few days, hours, or even minutes after the first inhaling, but seconds. I'm sure that you can guess, but this can not only result in seizures, but, failure of the liver, heart, brain, and so on and so on. Basically, if you're wondering which organs might die as a result of dusting, the answer is yes.
Why? Because it's cheap, easy to get, no smell, no ID. And the worst part, it doesn't show up on drug tests. Parents don't even know it's happening. Kids think it's safe because it's just air, but it's not. One breath can literally stop your heart. It replaces the oxygen in your lungs and shuts your body down. That's what happened to Rena O'Rourke. She collapsed. She never opened her eyes again.
And I'm really drilling this in because, holy clearly, we need some awareness here. And yes, I realize I'm coming across as like a worried, angry father, because I kind of am. And I get this has been going on for so long, but it's not too late to stop it. What's sudden sniffing death syndrome? Dr. Stephen Axe actually describes this as making your heart more susceptible to fight or flight stimuli, which can trigger an irregular and fatal heart rhythm. Your heart just may stop. And when that happens, it may be difficult to revive that person. You don't need to be addicted. You don't need to do it multiple times. One time, and if you're unlucky enough, you're gone forever. So doing this is essentially like playing Russian roulette with zero upside. So I'm making this video to give the extremely clear message: do not try inhalants. And if you're in school, never let a classmate do it either. Because this next part may sound unbelievable, but unfortunately it's true. In a 2024 study out of Michigan, a survey was conducted and had horrifying results. Around 4% of 8th graders admitted to have trying inhalants within the last year. That's just absolutely crazy to think about, especially when you find out that there's even higher percentage of older teens that are doing this. And obviously, like, kids this young have to have been learning about it from somewhere. Now, I could just be disconnected because I didn't grow up in the States. I grew up in Norway, but I can very confidently say that 0 people in my entire grade were doing inhalants like that, at least up until what? Even beyond 10th grade, I had no knowledge of it. But still, I'm worried social media is excelling trends like this. And Rena's parents have been going viral on their own by trying to raise awareness about dusting specifically. And they make a lot of very good points. For example, not only is keyboard duster extremely common and easy to find, but it's cheap, odorless, and doesn't require ID. And it doesn't show up on any drug tests, really. And as Dr. Axe puts it, they're widely available. Plus, teens hear about other kids having done it, they're more likely to experiment and take risks themselves, which leads us to the real issue, the underlying pressure behind all this. Rena wanted to be famous, and like millions of others her age, she unfortunately grew up in an era where virality is perceived as validation. That's a massive problem, because if all you need is virality for validation, often the more outrageous things become, the more viral it gets. This isn't just peer pressure, it's essentially like an algorithmic pressure. Like we've seen it, like TikTok challenges involving dangerous stunts, and then just people just simply harassing people for some basic attention online. This happens over and over again. Obviously, we've been covering this for years on this channel. Influencers doing borderline insane things for one single clip. Kids risking their health for likes and views. I feel like it used to be so much more isolated. What used to be a quiet experiment that some morons would do in their dad's garage is now not only recorded, hashtagged, and broadcasted to thousands of people, but it's also oddly encouraged and labeled as a trend. All while that trend is more likely a trip to the ER than anything else. And obviously, the more shocking the act, the more, unfortunately, the platform rewards you. Because even if yourself aren't doing it, platforms still reward this type of behavior, and it influences innocent kids like Rena into making poor, uninformed, and life-altering decisions. And also, taking a step back even, in theory, it's not the platform that's on purpose recommending reckless stuff like this. Because, like, platforms and algorithms, they're pretty agnostic. All they want to do is serve content someone will want to watch. So the more engaging the content is, the more it's going to get recommended. And unfortunately, humans like seeing people doing reckless stuff because it's always like, hey, well, what will happen here? So if the platforms are actually going to monitor and stop all of this from happening, they're going to require to have so many employees to actually monitor current trends. If I go hashtag dusting on TikTok, all I'm seeing is people actually dusting their homes, dusting their cars, or people talking about stories of people passing away from it. So it's hard to find it through a hashtag. So clearly the platform has done its job in trying to reduce this. But what happens is, you know, if it's an engaging enough video, it can pop up in people's For You page before it gets flagged. And it's just like this overall sticky situation because, you know, millions of videos are uploaded to TikTok every single day. And it's not like someone at TikTok can manually approve or disapprove a video before every video goes up. Then you would have a queue and you just would not have a lot of videos on TikTok. So it's just this really difficult situation to navigate. And overall, it's kind of a culture problem. But I feel like the best you can do currently to stop this is to just make as many people aware as possible that this trend is extremely dangerous, especially make parents aware to tell their kids growing up that you should never do a trend like this. And I guess going back to her parents, like Rena's mom had no idea that the keyboard duster had even been ordered until things went south. And it's genuinely terrifying how fast something like this can happen.
Rena's mother, Dana O'Rourke, emphasized the easy access teens have to these chemicals, advising parents to search their children's rooms.
And I mean, I get what she's kind of saying here. The kids aren't really hiding the crazy stuff under their beds anymore. They're more or less hiding the stuff in their phones. But since her passing, Rena's family has raised thousands through GoFundMe, not just for her medical bills, but also to raise awareness about the situation. Her dad wrote, "She will be unbelievably missed, leaving the most aching hole in our lives. But if her life is to mean anything, we're going to do what we can do to prevent somebody else's child from being where ours is right now." So if you're a parent, please take the time to talk to your kids about this stuff, because let's be real, if you're not having these conversations with them, strangers on the internet might well be. And again, I mean, when it comes to trends like this, views are never worth your life. Views are never worth your freedom. Views are never worth ruining someone else's day that you don't even know on the street. And it's just unfortunate because Rena should have been known for her talents. Instead, she's now the face of a devastating and preventable tragedy. Sorry for the more downer video today. I just saw this and felt like I had a rant today.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. New merch available now, including a supremely uncool t-shirt and a glorious new character pin. Link in the description down below. Alright folks, gather round. I've got some good news and some bad news. Did you say good news and glad news? No, I said good news and bad news. Very bad news. Word on the street is there's going to be a horrible plague coming in from Central Asia in the next couple decades that'll wipe out half of Europe. What's the good news? Do you have a cure? Please say you have a cure. No. Even better. The good news is we've got a new bucket for this city well. To understand the War of the Bucket, we first need to talk about this guy. He's the man with the plan, the host with the most. He's holy, lowly, he eats ravioli, with the white cassock, matching pellegrina, and the most tasteful of fringed fascias. Come on, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's the Pope, the head of the largest religious organization in the world. But what if I told you he wasn't always the big bad boy powerhouse he's often thought as today? That's right. Throughout history, the papacy often found itself forced to wrestle against adversity and opposition to retain its authority. The earliest popes, for example, suffered under the brutal persecution of the Roman Empire, and many ended up martyred, such as Pope Clement I, who was ostensibly thrown into the sea with an anchor around his neck. On the bright side, however, he's now the patron saint of fishermen. After persecution finally ended, the Pope still found himself being heavily controlled by secular kings and nobility. For over 2 centuries, the Byzantine emperor basically decided who could become Pope. Then came a real low point, during what has been called the Dark Age, a period where noblewomen controlled the Pope through, how should I put this? Feminine charm. It was around here that one infamous Pope, John XII, took office. This bad boy would hold, how should I put this? Naughty no-clothes parties in the Lateran Palace. And apparently, this would even happen. Come on, Zeus. Give me a 6. Did I say Zeus? I meant Thor. Ra, the Egyptian sun god? Dang it, who is it we worship? Perhaps you should read this, Your Holiness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth? Wow, this is wild! Pope John XII eventually died exactly how he lived, caught in the act by an irate husband who picked the Pope up and chucked him out the window. The point I'm trying to make here is that often the Pope was a very weak and corruptible figure and was regularly used and controlled by secular leaders as a tool to increase their own power and influence. And there was certainly an element of that in the year 800, when the Pope and the Kingdom of the Franks were good BFFs, and King of the Franks, Charlemagne, was like, hey man, being King of the Franks is nice and all, but I want more legitimacy, and also to become the continuation of the Roman Empire. So what say in return for my protection, you crown me Emperor so everyone will respect me more? Sure thing, pal. We'll hold the ceremony tomorrow. Charlemagne, King of the Franks, I hereby crown you Emperor of the West. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting this at all. What a surprise. I simply cannot accept. Oh. Okay then, I guess I'll just put this back over here. Give me that crown! Charlemagne's crowning as emperor was certainly an historic moment, but it also created a bit of an interesting problem. It set the precedent that from here on out, only the Pope could crown an emperor, but the Pope was also very much under the influence and control of Charlemagne. So who really held the power here? The Pope or the Emperor? I'm sure that this conflict won't cause anyone to die. Bishop of Freising, we want to thank you once again for visiting our wonderful city. It's been an honor. The pleasure is all mine, and what a wonderful tour it's been. I've seen the city walls, I've seen the towers, nothing could top that. Oh, couldn't it? Because we've saved the best for last. Ta-da! Yes, that's very interesting. Isn't it the greatest thing you've ever seen? Well, I mean, it is just a bucket. Get him out of here! Over time, Charlemagne's position as emperor and the kingdom of the Franks gradually evolved into the Holy Roman Empire. And by now, the Pope and the Emperor weren't such good friends anymore, since neither could agree on who was the boss of who. To make matters worse, the Emperor had taken to investing his own bishops and abbots. What does that mean? Well, allow me to explain. The problem for the Holy Roman Emperor was his empire wasn't really an empire, so much as a nightmarish federation made up of hundreds of counties, duchies, bishoprics, and more. The princes in charge of these local regions often didn't give the emperor their loyalty. The German nobility spent a lot of their time rebelling against the emperor, and the emperor spent a lot of his time trying to put down those rebellions. Can we get rid of them? Who? All the nobility. Get rid of them and pick new ones who are loyal to me. You can't just remove noble families from their territory. Please? Aw, okay, how about this? Some of those territories are ruled by bishops and abbots, and as Holy Roman Emperor, considered by many to be the deputy of Jesus Christ himself, perhaps you can choose who gets to become bishop and abbot. Yay! Now it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back. And so it was. The emperor invested his own family and loyal followers into powerful church positions, and thereby was able to increase his own power and authority. Not only that, but the emperor and other nobility were also engaging in something called simony. That's when someone would come along and say, hey, I want to become a bishop and get all the personal riches that come with the position. Perhaps we could come to some kind of arrangement. That's right. Church positions were actually being sold to the highest bidder. And let me tell you, they probably didn't come cheap. It's gonna cost you a lot more than this. I don't think so. I've got a promo code. And speaking of promo codes, do you like free money? I know I do. I really like it. And that's why. So thank you. It's selling church, investing bishops and abbots, selling church positions, authority, and power. Wait a minute, this is depravity. The purpose of the church isn't for him to increase his own authority and power, it's for me to increase my own authority and power. What about Jesus, Your Holiness? What? I thought the purpose of the church was to spread the good message of Jesus Christ. How drunk are you? Very. Alright, the results for the election of Chief Magistrate are in. Giovanni Kablami, 1%. Spaghetti Jeff, 2%. And the bucket, 1 trillion%. Around the year 1050, a series of reformist popes came along, and they said enough was enough. They wanted to stop the emperor from abusing the church and investing his own church officials. How are you going to stop me so long as I have control over who becomes pope? Remember the circular power division? If you try to stop me, I'll just depose you and pick someone else. Oh no, I've contracted tuberculosis. And just like that, the emperor was dead. His 6-year-old son, Henry IV, took over. And as we all know, child emperors equal opportunity. The church had an opening to take back control of the papacy. Hey man, I hope you don't mind, but we're changing the rules so that only the church cardinals can elect the pope, and you no longer have any say in the matter. You know, if that's cool with you. I peed my pants. Okay, great talk. Then, with the position of the Pope a little more secure, he held a big meeting where he drew up a big list of all the reforms and new powers he was giving himself. And it included some pretty gnarly stuff. Okay, first, I have the power to depose emperors. Everyone cool with that? Yeah? Let's see. Only I can depose or reinstate bishops. Yeah? Alright, no one can judge me. All princes shall only kiss my feet. Only my name shall be spoken in the churches. My name is the only name in the world. Okay, I think you're done. These were all some pretty radical powers the Pope was giving himself. And with these reforms, the Pope was basically telling the Emperor, you no longer have the right to choose your own bishops and abbots. Only I can do that. When the Emperor, now a full-grown man, heard the news, he was furious. What? This is madness! Who does this guy think he is? I'm the Emperor, for goodness sake. He can't tell me what to do. I'll invest my own bishops and abbots if I want to, and this rapscallion can go right to heck! I peed my pants again! The whole conflict escalated when Henry IV went to the Pope and said, hey, guess what, sucker? You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Pope. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute, I'm the Emperor. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. Eventually, the German princes took advantage of the situation, and they all turned against Henry. Henry was forced to apologize to the Pope, and the whole thing ended there. Except it didn't. The whole conflict, known today as the investiture controversy, would continue on for centuries as popes and emperors engaged in a power struggle over the emperor choosing his own church officials. The overall result of this conflict is very intricate and full of complexities, but in general, the Pope was able to increase his authority. Great news, Your Holiness. Your influence is on the rise throughout civilized Europe, except for this one city in northern Italy. Really? What's going on there?
Oomka, 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 oomka.
As for the Emperor, he found his realm thrown into further chaos and civil war, as the local princes continued to increase their own power and independence. This was most notably the case in northern Italy. Separated from the rest of the Holy Roman Empire by the Alps, the Emperor's influence and control over Italy had often been questionable. In the current chaos, these Italian city-states began operating almost entirely independently. Their practical independence was further solidified when Emperor Frederick Barbarossa came down in 1176 to try to reassert his control. The cities formed an alliance, and with the Pope's support, they kicked the Emperor right back to Germany. "Hooray," said the Italian city-states. "We did it! We're the best of friends." And then they immediately began attacking each other. Why? Well, this whole Pope versus Emperor thing, in Italy at least, had infiltrated society to its very core. Across Italy, families and cities were torn between two opposing sides. On one side, the Guelphs, who supported the Pope's cause. On the other, the Ghibellines, who supported the Emperor. These two sides struggled for control as Guelph cities battled against Ghibelline ones. As usual, personal interest played a pretty big role, as pro-Pope Guelph cities tended to be rich mercantile ones who didn't like the Emperor's taxes. Emperors supporting Ghibellines, on the other hand, were often agricultural, where the expanding papal states were a larger threat. These cities would sometimes even switch sides depending who was in charge and their ever-changing personal interests. In some cities, brutal fighting broke out in the streets as opposing families fought for control. At times, the conflict became so tribal that the differences between the two sides were just downright silly. My love, I can't bear it. We must be together. But how can we? My Ghibelline family wears feathers on the left side of their caps, and your Guelph family wears them on the right. My Ghibelline family cuts fruit straight down, and your Guelph family cuts fruit crosswise. These are arbitrary differences. We shouldn't let them tear us apart. We can be together no matter what our families think. Wonderful news! Let's make a toast to our love. I'll drink from my Ghibelline smooth goblet, and I shall drink from my Guelph chaste goblet. Get out of my sight, you dirty Pope-loving wench. Two city-states in particular that got caught in a long-standing rivalry was the Emperor supporting Modena and the Pope supporting, bucket-loving, Bologna. These two cities had bad blood between them, as they had already fought against each other on a number of occasions. In 1249, the two sides took part in the Battle of Fasolta, after which the victorious Bolognese launched a live donkey into Modena to humiliate them. For decades after that, the two sides would occasionally take little day trips into each other's territory and mess things about a bit. In the fateful year of 1325, the Bolognese went on one such trip and laid waste to some farmlands. The ruler of Modena, Passerino de Bonacolsi, was having none of it. The Bolognese had two major forts protecting their city in the southwest, so Passerino, in retaliation, decided to take an army down and lay siege to one of them. "Hey, you dirty Bolognese jerks! You think you can raid our farmlands? Come out here and face me like a man!" "Hey man, what's up? I've just come out to let you know that there's no need to siege us because—" "Whoa, hey man, chill out. I'm trying to tell you—" "Whoa, stop doing that! I'm trying to tell you I'm actually secretly sympathetic to the Imperial cause and I want to willingly hand the fort over to you." "Oh, cool. Okay." "Dude, what was that for?" "For betraying your people. And this is for joining mine." Mwah. The Bolognese were pretty unhappy to lose one of their main defensive forts, but to make matters worse, then this happened. "Hey, wait a minute. Where's the bucket? Oh no, it's gone. Those Modenese must have taken it. We'll make them pay. This is unacceptable. They may take our lives. They may take our fort, but they will never take our bucket." Oh wait, here it is. I found it, guys. It's right here. Phew. Could you imagine if we started a war over that? That would have been really stupid, and there'd probably be a billion videos about it on YouTube one day. Thank goodness it never actually happened. That's right. The famous story you may know about the War of the Bucket, that the war started because Modena stole Bologna's bucket, doesn't actually seem to be quite right. I was surprised to find that the bucket was likely not actually stolen at the start of the war. And at this point, I want to thank and give a big shout out to fellow history YouTuber MLaser. He's the one guy I found who actually translated a fantastic original Italian source, and then kindly allowed me to use his work in my own research. He does really well researched and in-depth videos, and definitely deserves way more subscribers, so please head on over and check him out. The real reason Bologna seems to have declared war on Modena is simply that they both hated each other, supported opposing factions, the Pope had called on Guelph cities to attack Passerino, and Bologna wanted its fort back. And they were gonna get it back. Bologna had a large force, much larger than what Modena could muster up, so they felt pretty confident. They sent half their force to lay siege and take back the fort, and the other half took defensive positions to prevent the Modenese from crossing the river. The smaller Modenese force were struggling to find a place to cross, so one night they were like, Hey guys, look out. We're attacking way up here in the north. Better move your troops. Oh, would you look at that? That was easy. And just like that, the Modenese were across the river. The Bolognese were probably expecting the Modenese to come and break their siege, but instead, the Modenese went for the second fort at Zappolino. Bologna couldn't afford to lose both of its defensive forts, so the entire Bolognese force moved to take defensive positions at Zappolino. When the Modenese arrived, it was already late in the day, and there were about 2 hours of sunlight left. In most medieval battles, at this point, both sides would set up a camp, rest for the night, and prepare for battle the next day. But the outnumbered Modenese decided the only way to win was to deal a quick, decisive blow while the Bolognese were still unorganized and unprepared. And that's exactly what they did. They charged at the Bolognese line, and the two sides engaged in fierce combat. Then the sneaky Modenese pulled what must be the most predictable, yet somehow consistently surprising move in medieval warfare. They sent the cavalry around the side and hit them from behind. Bing bang bong, the Bolognese went on the run. With casualties in the thousands, Modena had won, and the Modenese cavalry chased the Bolognese cavalry all the way back to the city. After Modena's victory, they went on a tour of the Bolognese countryside, burning some stuff down along the way. When they reached the city itself, instead of laying siege, they set up a camp and basically held a massive party for 3 days. The defeated Bolognese could only sit back and watch. As the Modenese force began packing up and getting ready to leave, they noticed something. Oh my gosh. Hey, check this out. No way. Are you kidding me? They're still using traditional wells. Hey, you dumb Bolognese. Ever heard of an artesian well? You can't even get water out of the ground without using a stupid bucket. It's not a stupid bucket. It's a wonderful bucket. Yeah, whatever, bucket boy. We're taking this with us. So Modena stole Bologna's bucket and put it up on display in their cathedral, eventually moving it to the city hall, where it remains on display to this day. The two cities came to a peace settlement a few months later. Bologna would have to pay heavy war reparations, and in exchange, Modena would return all conquered territories. Modena kept the bucket. Despite being one of the bloodiest battles in medieval Italian history, it didn't really change anything, except now Modena had Bologna's bucket. As for the larger power struggle between the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, that would continue on for some time and played a part in many major events of medieval history, such as the Crusades, the Protestant Reformation, eventually leading to the general separation of church and state we see in Europe today. So there you have it. We learnt about the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, the investiture controversy, and finally, the War of the Bucket. It's been a long day, and it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back!
Sometimes a game trailer can be so dire, misleading, or cringy, it destroys positive buzz with immediate effect. So much so that even better trailers released later on, or even good reviews, can't necessarily turn things around. Regardless of the quality of the finished product for any of the games on this list, it's safe to say none of these trailers did the games any favors, and in fact, instead of hyping them up, probably sabotage them. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 20 trailers so bad they killed video games. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Call of Duty has long been regarded as one of the central, if not the central FPS franchises of all time. That said, things did go a little sideways for some fans when it decided to go the way of jetpacks and sci-fi. Rather than acknowledging that reasonable criticism, Activision and Infinity Ward doubled down, releasing a trailer for a spacefaring sequel called Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Instead of fighting grounded enemies, literally, the first trailer showed the heroes taking part in zero-gravity fights and interplanetary warfare. Within days, the promo amassed millions of dislikes on YouTube, briefly becoming the most disliked gaming video on the entire site. It didn't help that Battlefield 1's teaser released days prior and was praised for its realistic tone and, yeah, its lack of space battles. Despite the fact that COD Infinite Warfare definitely had a terrible reception, as I've just described, we're ranking it super early on this list and not towards the top because it was still a top-selling game in the US and the UK. Mortal Kombat 1 Switch version. The most frustrating thing about false advertising is how viewers usually don't realize they're being conned until they play the game for themselves, as can be established from Dead Island and Aliens Colonial Marines. However, eagle-eyed viewers managed to
Alright, I'll be going to the toilet a little bit. Be back soon. Drank a little bit. Too much water. I'm back.
to see past the facade of Mortal Kombat 1's promotional materials right away. Due to its next-gen graphics, Nintendo fans were skeptical as to how the MK reboot would run on the Nintendo Switch, especially since the previous installment suffered frame rate issues on that same system. Now, these worries were supposedly put to rest when the teaser for MK1 showed the Nintendo port running smoothly. But during a gameplay reveal, the same one that was supposed to allay those fears, a Steam achievement popped in the bottom right-hand corner of what was supposed to be Switch gameplay, proving that it was, of course not, Switch gameplay. Nintendo tried to cover their tracks by pulling the video down, but it was too late. The Steam achievement only popped up for a second, but it was enough to keep pre-order sales on the Nintendo system to a minimum. Mortal Kombat 1 ended up being among the worst Switch ports of all time, proving the concerns surrounding the gameplay reveal were warranted. Concord. It goes without saying that Sony had unrealistically high hopes for Concord, considering the live service shooter spent 8 years in development and had a budget north of $200 million. Despite being deemed too big to fail, Concord's cinematic trailer received backlash and ridicule on a monumental scale. Firstly, the design of each character was insultingly generic. The quippy Marvel banter prompted comparisons with Guardians of the Galaxy, raising concerns that Concord lacked an identity of its own, which is a recipe for death in an oversaturated and competitive genre. The footage also didn't reveal any gameplay or mechanics, amplifying the trepidation surrounding the project. Rather than being the future of PlayStation, Concord looked like another hero shooter, nothing more. The game launched with less than 200 concurrent players on Steam and less than 25,000 sales, so yeah, 2 weeks after it came out, it was pretty much declared defunct. Concord may have been doomed no matter what, but there's no doubt that the anticlimactic trailer sealed its fate. Although promotions are critical for success, Concord probably would have fared better if Fireworks Studios shadow dropped the title with no advertising whatsoever.
Looking to protect yourself or deal some damage? Well, I'm very pleased to announce that you can do both with NordVPN, which is running an incredible 77%
solution. Rather than blasting everything in sight, Hitman relies on patience, blending in, and methodical planning, which has allowed IO Interactive's Assassin Saga to stand out over other flashier shooters. For this reason, you really do have to wonder what was going through the studio's mind as they made their plan for how to promote Hitman Absolution. Rather than emphasizing the restrained action that everyone's familiar with, the Attack of the Saints trailer opens with Agent 47 facing off against gun-toting female assassins draped in hypersexualized nun outfits. Unsurprisingly, the excessive gunplay and grindhouse tone was jarring for veterans of the franchise. Stranger still, Agent 47 was set up in the trailer as some kind of action star anti-hero, like a Jason Statham type in a massive action blockbuster, and that's just not the Agent 47 we know and love. While Absolution was more nuanced than the marketing suggested, the damage was done. After failing to reach its sales targets, IO Interactive wisely reverted to the old school approach from there on out. Battlefield 5. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was criticized for its over-the-top action, which should have compelled its longtime competitor Battlefield to keep things grounded. Ironically, Battlefield 5 made the exact same mistake. When the trailer dropped, the project was immediately accused of historical inaccuracy. Complaints were directed towards the futuristic weapons and body art, which didn't match the time period. One of the primary soldiers brandished a heavily advanced prosthetic arm, despite the fact that the story was set in the 1940s. And although Battlefield was no stranger to creative liberties, it did feel like this installment was favoring spectacle over plausibility. Coupled with the fast-paced action and flamboyant cosmetics, Battlefield 5 wasn't maintaining the spirit of the franchise. The backlash also grew beyond the footage of just this trailer, as plenty of players claimed that EA and DICE were directly ignoring fan feedback. One of the developers said, "If you don't like it, don't buy it," which naturally poured fuel on an already swelling controversy. Battlefield 5 was dubbed a failure despite selling over 7 million units, encouraging EA to terminate support for the game less than 2 years after it launched. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Dragon Age went into a hiatus after Inquisition came out, so there was plenty of buzz surrounding what exactly was going to happen whenever the game's 4th installment landed. But when the trailer for The Veilguard debuted at the Xbox Games Showcase, the common consensus was that BioWare's latest entry was Dragon Age in name only. The animation was overly colorful and cartoonish, which gave off like Fortnite and Overwatch vibes, and rather than keeping with the gritty tone, the trailer made The Veilguard resemble a heist adventure, like Ocean's 11. Although it seems unfair to judge a game before playing it, the developers weren't a fan of the reveal either, saying it hugely misrepresented their work. Due to the tonal inconsistency, deviation from Dragon Age's origins, pun intended, and negative feedback from the creators themselves, the trailer racked up a high number of dislikes on platforms like YouTube and Reddit. 2 months after its release, EA stated Dragon Age: The Veilguard didn't reach its sales quota. Despite winning multiple gaming awards and initially topping the sellers chart on Steam, the negativity towards The Veilguard ran far too deep to recover. I actually thought The Veilguard was pretty solid in the end, but that first trailer certainly did not compel me to play it. Thought it was pretty atrocious. Glad I played the game, but yeah. Title of the list, accurate. Godfall. Being a debut title for the PlayStation 5, Godfall should have been a vehicle that showed off the power of Sony's latest console. But the reveal of Counterplay Games' looter shooter was a two-pronged disappointment. When a montage for Godfall leaked months before its release, viewers were left confused, since the so-called showstopper didn't look especially next-gen or polished. Developers later confirmed the circulating leak was internal footage from an old PC build, assuring fans the PS5 version would be top tier. Although the official trailer for Godfall was undeniably impressive on a visual scale, it revealed little beyond the flashy combat, which was ripped straight out of Monster Hunter. As a result, Godfall was seen as generic and overly reliant on its aesthetics. Interest was also virtually non-existent when the game came out. In Japan, it hit the charts at a peak of number 21 in its release week. Basically, not hitting the top 20 in your release week is a pretty big flop. In a way, the trailer perfectly encapsulated Godfall, since the underwhelming clunker was a textbook example of style over substance. No depth, no innovation, no complexity? No thanks. Babylon's Fall. Square Enix and Platinum Games obviously had wildly overconfident perspectives when it came to Babylon's Fall, which naturally made it all the more disappointing. When revealed at E3 in 2021, the creators explained how the action RPG would be a live service model with a huge focus on multiplayer. Babylon's Fall was expected to have free updates, including new gameplay modes and content. Although it was delayed by 3 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic, that did give the developers more time to fine-tune their creation to perfection. Regardless of all the forced hype, the public just wasn't buying Babylon's Fall, figuratively or literally. Rather than singling out one specific problem, the promotional videos were just bland across the board. Due to the odd artistic filters, stiff gameplay, and awkward voiceovers, the trailers were an early sign that Square Enix and Platinum Games weren't going to deliver on what they promised. Concurrent players on Steam never passed 1,200 and reduced to a single player within just a couple months. Despite being promoted as the be-all and end-all, Babylon's Fall was shut down less than a year after it debuted. The Lord of the Rings, Gollum. Gollum isn't just one of the most significant characters in The Lord of the Rings, but among the most iconic characters in literature. And yet, the ring-craving hobbit isn't the kind of character who warrants a standalone game, which is why it was bewildering when Daedalic Entertainment announced they were helming just that. Now, the prospect of exploring the majestic world of Middle-earth was encouraging, so Tolkien fans wanted to give this one the benefit of the doubt. However, any hope for this one being an exciting exploration of a beautiful, fantastical world we've come to know and love from the movies and the books really dried up when we saw that trailer. This incarnation of Gollum appeared lifeless and devoid of complexity. The first shared footage struggled with conveying a tone, failing to explain why the story should be told at all. Although the trailer established the stealth mechanics, that proved to be unappealing, as fans wanted to fight orcs, trolls, and uruk-hais, not hide from them. And yet the initial reaction was still generous when compared to the game's ultimate reception. The disastrous title struggled so badly to maintain its ghastly graphics and janky animation, it always seemed to be on the verge of crashing. Though the trailer did demonstrate that The Lord of the Rings Gollum was gonna be trash, the actual game was even worse than what anyone could have expected. Duke Nukem Forever. After the success of 1996's Duke Nukem 3D, 3D Realms announced a sequel shortly after. Instead of being released in 2 years as planned, the long-awaited Duke Nukem Forever didn't come out for 17 years, making it the longest consistent development cycle in gaming history. As you can imagine, because it was 17 bloody years, this game went through so many changes between its inception to its inevitable creation and hitting shelves that the early trailers and teasers didn't at all resemble what the game ended up being. As such, it wasn't until 2007 before Gearbox released a trailer that actually resembled the finished product. By this point, the project had been in development for a decade, so expectations were astronomical. But based on the footage, there was nothing to be excited about. There didn't seem to be anything about Forever that made it stand out from its peers, apart from the shrinking mechanic. That was pretty cool, but already featured in the franchise. More importantly, the teaser didn't present anything to justify Forever's unprecedented development. Instead of boasting top-of-the-line graphics and tense action, the teaser showcased edgy humor and cheesy one-liners that were already dated in the 90s. Due to selling only half of their initial projections, publisher Take-Two Interactive admitted themselves this one was a bust. Skull Island: Rise of Kong. Although the MonsterVerse as a whole has been pretty hit and miss, there's no doubt Skull Island: Rise of Kong is the worst. Developed by Iguana Bee, the trailer for the licensed title shocked viewers due to its horrible, well, everything. It's horrible everything. The flat textures, stiff character models, awkward animations, and barren environments resembled something from the PS2 era. Although the King Kong brand carries expectation of scale and cinematic spectacle, the colossal kaiju came across as weightless and unthreatening. Trailers are supposed to show games at their best, so it didn't fill anybody with confidence to see see clipped animations, button-mashing combat, and enemies barely reacting to the titular beast. Now, it's possible Rise of Kong was rushed to coincide with the animated series Skull Island, which came out the same year. But considering Rise of Kong was labeled the worst game of 2023, it goes without saying that the project should have been heavily delayed or canned entirely. Well, Jessica, I hear you say, I enjoyed hearing about that video game that probably shouldn't have come out because it was so bad, but it came out anyway. Well, for a bunch of other terrible games that for some reason were released, we have the list for you on What Culture, so check them out if you want to. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Saints Row 2022. Starting off as a Grand Theft Auto knockoff, Saints Row eventually carved its own identity by focusing on absurd scenarios like fighting laser-shooting crabs and creating sex tapes for an alien overlord. But based on the trailer for 2022 Saints Row, it became clear that for some reason they decided to scale back on the wackiness. Rather than gaining superpowers or battling zombies while riding a dinosaur, the craziest moments in the game involve toasting a waffle and taking part in a LARP campaign. Now, back to basic reboots aren't necessarily a bad thing, but the realistic approach stripped away Saints Row's established tone and identity. Though the trailer showed the game would still have its fair share of snark, none of those particular jokes even landed. Despite exceeding pre-order sales, this version of Saints Row experienced an 80% drop within the second week. Branded as a total failure, it was certainly disappointing and saddening, but not too surprising to see that Volition was shut down shortly afterwards. Hatred. Controversy surrounding video games is nothing new, as Mortal Kombat, Manhunt, and Grand Theft Auto have proven time and time again. Be that as it may, the brutality in Hatred was on another level. Destructive Creations' isometric shoot-'em-up was the first game to receive an adults-only rating for its violence alone. Although bloodshed and violence of this level does bring a "will someone think of the children" energy to some people, for a lot of other people in the gaming sphere, these kinds of level of violence and brutality can kind of be allowed if there is artistic merit. But based on Hatred's trailer, there was no moral ambiguity or justification behind the malicious behavior of the main character, who was deservingly called the antagonist. Simply expecting players to perform cruel executions as this malevolent misanthrope solely to satiate his own bloodlust. It was alarming or unimpressive, depending on your take. On top of that, the promo came across like Hatred had nothing else to offer. Even though the game does have a few neat mechanics, the trailer took the shock value approach, showing off just the tasteless massacres. Due to the brain-dead AI and laborious gameplay, Hatred didn't manage to hit anywhere near its sales goal and generally flopped. While the trailer may have set this one on the back foot, the fact that it had nothing under the hood was really the final nail in the coffin. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. Up until Pro Skater 4, the Tony Hawk saga was regarded as the go-to gaming experience when it came to performing ollies, kickflips, and McTwists. For this reason, there's no reason to doubt that the long-awaited 5th installment would maintain the same high standard, despite the failed spin-offs in the interim. But the property fell into a spot of legal bother. Realizing that the licensing for Tony Hawk was about to expire, Activision rushed Pro Skater 5 out the door within months. Due to the speedy development, the game wasn't close to ready when the promotions began, even though the skateboarding IP had been synonymous with smooth gameplay and stylish presentation. Everything in the trailer appeared to be stiff and janky. If viewed out of context, you'd assume you were watching footage from a prototype. The creators attempted to rectify the situation by smoothing out the poor graphics with cel-shaded animation 2 months before launch, but this effort meant nothing, since Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 was noticeably unfinished by the time it released, resulting in a day one patch. Based on the universally reviled reception, learning that devs Robomodo shut down less than a year later wasn't particularly shocking, but pretty unfair that Activision forced them to hurry up and get it out the door. If you're still with me at this point in the video and you haven't subscribed already, maybe you want to hit that button and give us a subscribe. We got lots of good stuff. In the meantime, let me get back to telling you about more games that bombed. Man. I'm so sorry. Bomberman Act 0. Due to Bomberman's stagnation over the last few decades, it's easy to forget how popular the block-blasting hero was. At its peak, Hudson Soft were churning out 5 or 6 Bomberman games per year. After releasing 50-plus titles, the developers decided that they were going to reinvent their most recognized IP. Although dark reboots were popular at the time, the trailer for Bomberman Act Zero proved they'd taken things a little too far. The Xbox 360 exclusive ramped up the edginess to such an extreme, Act Zero resembled a maze-based Doom spin-off, rather than a Bomberman title. The teaser is also filled with philosophical quotes about existence and purpose, inaccurately suggesting this tribe would harbor a deep and profound narrative. Even though Act Zero was anticipated to fail because that trailer was terrible and everything else about it, even that failure surpassed expectations. Yes, the trailer didn't paint Hudson Soft's little experiment in a good light at all, but somehow it was still generous compared to how the final result turned out. DMC, Devil May Cry. Despite Devil May Cry's popularity, it's kind of understandable why Capcom decided they wanted to somewhat reinvent the popular franchise. Every installment upped the ante to the point where Devil May Cry was slowly but surely becoming a parody of itself, especially when Dante started surfing on missiles and crossing oversized swords with butt-smacking gestures. Even though Devil May Cry 4 was well received, the studio believed it was time for the IP to do something bold. So when the trailer for DMC Devil May Cry dropped, the first thing it did was reveal a broody, edgier Dante, devoid of his trademark long white locks. Even though the gameplay did remain the same, this drastic redesign of Dante suggested that gameplay-wise, things were shifting away from the norm. Despite receiving great reviews, DMC only earned a third of its predecessor. For this reason, Capcom took a back-to-basics approach when they made Devil May Cry 5, having Dante once again depicted as a cocky, wisecracking badass. Love for Devil May Cry seems to be stronger than ever, which is why it's a shame the marketing behind DMC gave the fanbase the wrong idea. Forspoken. Forspoken follows Frey, a teenager from New York who finds herself transported to the enchanted land of Athia. Based on the first teaser, Square Enix's epic tale looked like it was going to deliver a gorgeous open world to explore, filled with fantastical creatures, captivating characters, and fluid mechanics. By the time the later trailers were released, most of the optimism towards Forspoken had been replaced with cynicism, and that was for one simple reason. Not only was her dialogue very exposition heavy, the lines were badly written, and Frey's petulant behavior didn't depict her in a sympathetic light. For this reason, a lot of potential consumers who might have enjoyed the game or thought it looked really cool were kind of turned off when they heard the heroine say stuff like, "I killed jacked up beasts." No. In hindsight, this was a justified concern. Although Forspoken was let down by one-note combat and a surprisingly empty world, it was Frey's jargon-heavy monologues, incessant swearing, and immature attitude that really rubbed people the wrong way. To avoid the lackluster sales, Square Enix could have made Frey mute. Sure, this decision wouldn't have turned Forspoken into a masterpiece, but it may have fixed the game's biggest gripe: Highguard. I maintain that if Highguard's trailer was revealed anywhere except for where it was, it may not have received the amount of ire that it did. Not that I think anyone could receive more ire, except for maybe when No Man's Sky was released. But unfortunately, the world we live in is one where Highguard was shown off at the very end of the Game Awards in 2025. To build up as much anticipation as possible, this placement is normally reserved for a recognized IP or well-known studios. Instead, because of Jeff Keighley, who hosts the show and created it, audiences got a short flash.
Yeah, still got stuff. I have to finish this thing. But I'm tired. So, as always, guys, it's 5. Stream enough. Work enough. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, stay healthy, stay safe. Until next time, stay tuned on the next stream. Bye-bye.